The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
What?
let's go!
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. Ah! The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers.
You pig!
Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this McGee Feel Good Friday, May 24th, 2024. This program starts now.
Speed!
Is what I feel through my entire body right now. Not because we're coming upon the greatest race weekend of the entire year. No. It's because today, in this particular Thunderdome, on this stage, we have royalty, racing royalty, sports royalty, Southern royalty.
All right.
And it's not the Toxic Table at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Sweet shirt, though.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Green runs deep. Go Celtics.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's
big
on me.
win lines. That was hard right here. The boys didn't seem to have their juice. They'll be back home, obviously, on Saturday. The Celtics are up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA over the Indiana Pacers. Last night wasn't great for us. And what's going on with Tyrese Halliburton? We'll have Sham Sharani on in about 10 minutes. Hopefully, he'll have a little bit more information than what we're hearing from the team. Team has to report to league, though, by 5 p.m. today on what that injury is. And I'll tell you, if it is a real one, which could be, there's a chance with how much Tyrese Halliburton has played this year, how great he has played, the injuries that could potentially happen, how awkward it kind of looked as it was taking place last night in the third quarter. That's going to be tough for the Pacers, but we got a deep squad. We're a bunch of dogs. We won't complain about injuries because it's professional sports, it's playoffs, but we will certainly acknowledge that it would suck if Tyrese Halliburton got injured last night and is going to miss some games. We'll find out more, hopefully, from Sham Sharani. It's not because of that, though, on why today is going to be a memorable day for the rest of our lives. No. It's not because one half of the Hammer, Dahn, Cowboys, Tone Diggs is here. Hey, nips to see you, pal.
Good to see you too, brother. It's freezing in here.
Oh, it feels good.
Sweating right now.
It feels good. How could you not be sweating? How could you not feel the heat? How could you not feel the speed? Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is host of Marty and McGee. He's host of basically anything Southern that has happened in sports over the last 30 years, I think, for ESPN.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, senior writer at ESPN.com, currently embedded with Kyle Larson as he will be taking on the double on Sunday, both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. 1,100 miles of racing this man's falling well as he's punching microphones. Ryan McGee.
What's up? How we doing? It's amazing. This is everything I dreamed it would be. I literally walked in the door, and I, you see it on TV, but you don't actually know that it's an actual dome.
Yes.
And I just think about it. And I walked in, y'all had that headshot that they use for SEC Network. I look like I'm going to talk to you about your relationship with Jesus. And here we are in a place where, at some point,
Jesus lived here.
Souls are getting saved here.
Yeah.
No, this is amazing. I'm glad to be here, boys.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have you. And Jesus used to live here, and I know Jesus is everywhere, especially if you're asking somebody that's dressed like that and looks like that.
Yeah.
But he did leave a little extra juice for us. And I'll tell you what, it does feel like the heavens have blessed us with you being in Indianapolis covering the Indy 500, being able to join us live in studio. Texted you, I don't know, like 5 days ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And you said, I'll be in Indy. And I said, well, is this happening?
Yeah. No, dude, it was like a mind meld thing because I literally was going to text you like Wednesday. Hey, man, going to be in town. And I woke up like Monday morning and I had a text from you.
Yeah.
And all it said was McGee. I'm like, we knew. That's exactly what it was. But no, it's great to be here. And I'm in town for the Indy 500. I think it's like maybe my 20th. And it's I have lived through this thing. Like I started covering motorsports in the 90s, and this thing was the biggest deal in the world, and they ripped it apart. They killed the goose looking for golden eggs, which feels very relevant in collegiate athletics right now.
Oh, we're talking about that. Pete Thamel joining us at 12:30.
Who has just been, Pete's not slept in 2 weeks, by the way.
Maybe 2 years.
He had like 4 bylines on ESPN.com yesterday. It was nuts. But I've seen the race
What
go.
does that mean?
I've seen a byline is by Ryan McGee. It's by Pete Thamel. So a byline, all right. So I'm teaching y'all jargon.
He had 4 bylines.
If you write something for something and it says by so-and-so, that is a line that says it was by you. It is a byline.
You're saying Pete Thamel is doing a lot of this.
So Pete, by Pete Thamel, by Dan Murray. My colleagues have been very busy, and I was like, I didn't know nothing. I've been coming here. I've really enjoyed. So on the phone, when Pete gets rolling, dude, you wake up, and literally there'll be 17 emails, and it's Pete getting on a plane. So-and-so strength coach at Northern Arizona's getting sued for whatever. I can't write about it, but I wanted to give you a heads up. Getting on a plane. Yeah, it's like that'll be. And then there's responses like 40 emails a day from Pete. But anyhow, point is, it's great to be in Indy.
They tore it apart, though. What do you mean by that? They tried to overexpose it? They tried to change the rules, change the cars? Because there's
So you have this massive property, right? The Indy 500, and then you have open wheel racing, IndyCar racing, and back in the mid-'90s, they literally split IndyCar racing into 2 different series because the 2 groups didn't agree on how it was being run. But the one thing they were fighting over was the one thing. Again, it's kind of like we've seen in collegiate athletics. They're all basically fighting over football money and basketball money. The rest of it is just collateral damage, and that's what's happening at the Speedway. And they're just now, in the last 5 or 6 years, you go down the racetrack, and it feels like it did in the 90s before they tore it apart. But I've written this column 100 times.
Bylines.
Right, bylines. When it comes to motorsports, I wrote it when Texas and Oklahoma were coming to the SEC, when that news broke. I wrote a story about be careful. And I think I said it on the show before, which is there's a cautionary tale in motorsports because when you're making money and you're selling 350,000 tickets and the TV ratings are through the roof, it's very easy to make stupid decisions.
We want more.
And you think you're fine. They'll just show up. And I'm telling you right now, I've witnessed it in Indianapolis. I've witnessed it in NASCAR. They won't just show up. If the sport doesn't look like the sport they grew up with and the sport doesn't look like what they love and Saturdays don't feel like Saturdays and I don't know who the hell I'm playing this weekend and I don't understand how the postseason works and I don't know who these players are anymore, then suddenly...
And these players don't care about my school.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the big thing. There's no more passion about the thing that we're passionate about.
And in my world, in the Southeast where I grew up, we didn't watch the NFL because we didn't have the NFL. We had Redskins that were on the TV, nobody
byline, not anymore.
But nobody paid any attention to the Falcons. Nobody cared. But in the Southeast, the reason we love college football like we do is because that's what we had. But when Saturdays start looking like Sunday, we don't watch the NFL really. And so when everything about college football looks like the NFL, and it's a great business decision, but it's a terrible look, right? It's a terrible. But you think what you used to always say in NASCAR was, I was sitting in these meetings. I worked at NASCAR very briefly in the mid-2000s. Sitting in these meetings, and people that weren't only going to be there a couple of years, they would know country music, and you can't say the word moonshine and all that stuff. And they left Darlington Raceway to go to California, all that stuff. And they're like, oh, don't worry, the core fan base, they'll stick around. And they didn't. Because they were like, what the hell is this?
Turns out this ain't you guys hijacked our thing.
So don't assume.
Well, hold on now. This goes on to a bigger conversation as well. Right. Now, I know you've been around ESPN a long time.
Yep.
But there are some decisions I think being made at, not just ESPN, but a lot of networks that necessarily weren't proud of potentially some of the people that were maybe watching their network and forgot that they were running it. For instance, when Dude Wipes became a sponsor, first time ESPN ever let Dude Wipes be a sponsor of a show because they thought the name was too bro-y.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So they didn't even want to do business with Dude Wipes because they thought it was too bro-y or whatever. It's who do you... some bros watch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There is a chance some bros watch sports. There's and dumps happen.
Yeah.
There's a case that takes place. So whenever you talk about NASCAR being no country music, how isn't the immediate thought hey, moonshiners and literally in the South, this is how this whole thing started.
Right.
Why would you want to attack? I don't know. There's a lot of decisions.
Because people were making decisions that didn't genuinely love the sport. And that's what I worry about. What I worry about is
college football as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I worry about right now, which is people making decisions based on making money, which it's their job to make money, And if Texas and Oklahoma call, then you say yes. And if you're the Big Ten and USC and UCLA call, you say, come on. I mean, because if you don't do that, you're going to get fired.
That's what you're getting judged upon by some people.
But what you can't do is you can't get so far away from what everyone fell in love with. It's like being married. You know, you fall in love with the person that you fall in love with. And if they keep changing and changing and changing, and you keep changing, one day you wake up and you go, "Who the hell is this? Why am I? This is," and you don't understand what happened. It's the old frog on the frying pan, right? They talk about you put the frog on the frying pan, and if it's hot immediately, he's going to get out of there. Mm-hmm. But if you just turn it up a little bit, he's going to cook him. Before he realizes what happened, he's done. And that's what I worry about with college sports. I get the business decisions, I get where it's all going, but if the damn sport looks like the NFL, then it's no longer college football.
Got to keep the soul.
It's NFL 2.0, and that's not what people want, I don't think.
We'll have there are some people I think that are the casual college football fans that like football and like some of the teams and watch primetime and watch game day in the morning and that whole thing. But after experiencing game day, and I've said this numerous times into this microphone, boy, there are people that it's a religion. Now, obviously, Jesus Christ, and everybody get that. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, my daddy.
Yeah.
My daddy's daddy. Mm-hmm. And guess what? My daddy's 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 daddy all sat in this same exact seat right here. And my kid is going to sit in this, go to this institution, go to this school, and we're going to support this team. And then it's like, you do hear the rumblings. Who's the guy that wrote wrote some of the stuff for Game Day?
Wright Thompson?
Yeah, Wright Thompson. His first essay last year for College Game Day, whenever we were in North Carolina, South Carolina, I don't hear that until we're live on air. He read the essay, and we're in the middle of a time, and he literally said, "But I guess we're going to still just watch, I guess." That was literally what he said in the essay. Yeah. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. So then as you go to, like, some of these schools, we got to do some of these simulcasts, and we're on the field and everything, and you start seeing, like, the reaction, the passion. It's like, we can't lose this.
Yep.
Like, the pageantry and the passion is what college football is. That's why yesterday's ruling by the NCAA, and I think Pete Thamel will be joining us here in a matter of little moments or seconds or whatever. It's like, at 12:30, I mean, like, I'll be excited to hear his breakdown on how we got here and how we're not going to kind of trick off the entire pageantry of what college ball is.
Yeah, and it's just, and there's nothing wrong with change. I want everybody to understand that.
Have to.
I went to Tennessee. Neyland Stadium needs some updating, and they're going to do it. They're about to spend a ton of money to update the place, and you should do that. But it still needs to look and feel like Neyland Stadium when you go in there. And so to me, that's the perfect illustration, because you can't get so far away. You can't assume they're just going to show up. I go back to, like, some of these rivalries. I mean, Marshall, West Virginia. I go back to some of these rivalries that everyone lived by, and then they took it away, and then the assumption was, well, one day it'll come back, and when it does, everybody will just jump back on board. No, they won't. I mean, you can't assume they're going to do it. You hope they're going to do it. And so you have to make sure that, change is fine, but there can't be so much change all at once.
Agreed.
Change, so
it's frog on a frying pan.
Boom. Right. I go back to my dad as a college football referee, and every summer my dad would be at the swimming pool going through whatever, but they would change a rule. They change a couple of rules every other year, and they would do it slow on purpose to let the coaches get, all right, this rule change is coming in 2 years. All right, but now we can coach it up. We can coach it up in practice. Officials get ready for it. But everything moved at that pace for a long time, and now there's just so much change all the time that what you don't want is, you don't want Pete Thamel's 5 stories to become the only thing anyone was talking about. Instead of talking about, well, how good is Georgia going to be? I'm talking about, how good is Georgia going to be?
Baseball. That's what baseball is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but my dad's the biggest baseball fan in the world, and he's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And it's just, you can't change it all at once. You just can't. But it has to still look like the sport you love.
Got to evolve, especially if you want to keep the diehards and the purists. Yeah. But then, obviously, the natural reaction goes, they'll always stay. And what I think we've all recognized, especially through you pointing it out, people are in a different era now where they will hold a grudge and they will protest in their own way, which is staying away. I don't think that's going to happen with college ball, but let's not dance with anything that could potentially become that. Let's bounce to the NBA now, because last night the Celtics take a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Finals over the Indiana Pacers. And obviously, there was like a 20-0 run at one point, and then the Pacers were able to battle all the way back. And then, it was a good game. Celtics end up covering and winning like everybody thought they were going to do in the first game and maybe throughout the entire series. But the big story is what the hell happened to Tyrese Halliburton, the man who literally, the coach of the Pacers, came on our show a couple days ago and said they built the entire team around. Third quarter, he exits game with potential. hamstring, I believe is what Coach Carlisle said afterwards. Could be a knee, could be a lower leg. We have no idea. Joining us to hopefully tell us the information, senior NBA insider at the Athletic Stadium in FanDuel TV, the ever handsome Sean Sharania.
Yeah, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Woo.
Dawn, Pat, can I get the Shams at least? Can we bring it back?
My brain.
Show me a bone.
My name. Kelsey
Shout
Plum.
out Kelsey Plum, though.
Kelsey Plum. Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces. Las Vegas Aces.
Doing it.
Hell of a team.
They are.
New York Liberty lost. Did you see that?
Yeah, Aces.
Aces did too.
Aces did 2 to the Sun.
Well, the Sky beat the Liberty, and I actually put out a post saying, is this team ever going to lose? I don't think this team's ever going to. They did. And I was reminded.
It's anybody's league right now.
I'm in LA right now.
Except for the
I'm in
Fever.
LA right now. There's a lot of talk about the Sparks and Fever game tonight at Crypto.com Arena. So
Why is that, you think?
maybe Caitlin Clark. I don't know.
Don't tell Angel
Caitlin
Reese.
Clark, Cameron Brink. A lot of star power in the house. A lot of star power in the house.
Caitlin, she's about 2 weeks away from a triple-double happening every single night. Fever going to figure it out. Haven't got to win. Change the time of the June 1st game to a noon tip-off, so get on ESPN, which is good news. Season ticket holders are privy to that type of information like us. We've invested in the Fever. We hope Sean will do the exact, Shams will do the exact, maybe Sean Sharania covers the W.
There you go. Yes.
Yes.
Sean.
I think we might have figured out an alias.
All right, let's move
Might
along
have
here.
figured out an alias.
Let's talk about, well, you already have NBA Central or whatever. Okay, so let's talk about what happened last night. Tyrese Halliburton, third quarter, okay? This is not good news for the NBA. It's not good news for the series, and it's certainly terrible news for Indianapolis whenever we see him exit the game, and then Coach Carlisle afterwards says it's a hamstring soreness. What do we know about this as we look ahead, and what are your thoughts on it all?
I'm told this morning that he re-aggravated that hamstring strain injury that he had earlier in the season in January. He missed 10 games with it. He actually came back a lot earlier than expected. Tyrese Halliburton rehabbed the injury quicker than everyone thought he would, and he came back after just missing 10 games and went 6-4 in those games. But we all know, he's their engine. They rely on him offensively to set the table for everyone, and they're obviously a lot of concern today. There in Indy, I'm told the Pacers got in at 3:15 in the morning last night, so it was a early morning, I'm sure, for a lot of those players, and they don't practice today. We'll know later today as Tyrese Halliburton gets more tests, as he gets more treatment, as he goes through that hamstring injury, as far as how the Pacers are going to list him going into Game 3. But there's obvious, his status is up in the air. It's the same hamstring. That's not an injury that you want to play around with. And he even had x-rays, I'm told, on his chest, not his hamstring, on his chest at halftime of that game. And obviously he got cleared enough from that. He felt good enough to try to give it a go in the second half, just could not get as much burst on that hamstring as he wanted. And he ended up sitting the game. And Rick Carlisle pulls his starters pretty early in that fourth quarter, and they try to get ready for Game 3. But that Game 1 demoralizing loss, that was a game you try to have. If you have, the whole tenor of the series is completely different. And now the Pacers are going to go back home, and you hope there's some miracle here with Tyrese Halliburton's hamstring.
Miracle.
Okay, I don't like the word miracle with his entire injury.
Well, with hamstrings, calves, these things are so tricky.
As McGee did point out, we are in the former house of the Lord.
That's right.
And Indiana is certainly a place that's looking to the heavens and down on their knees in the morning. So maybe a miracle will happen with Tyrese Halliburton's hamstring, but you're right, those are fickle injuries, obviously. That once
even if he plays, like how close to 100% is he going to be? How close to Tyrese Halliburton is he going to be? We know how it affected him during the season. After he missed that time, he went through ups and downs offensively, and then he finally picked it up. We saw what he's done in this series. Game 1, just a masterclass on both ends until the last minute of the game. Like Tyrese Halliburton said, that game, 47 minutes, they played beautifully, and then that last minute. But for the Pacers, a hamstring issue. He's got the chest issue. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton very banged up on this. On
the other side, Connor's got a question.
Yeah, Shams, it's a good time to be in Indiana right now as a Celtics fan, and we didn't get the.
Oh, shut up! Well, this is the same place the Knicks were. Hope you understand that. Let's not have too crazy of nostalgia here or of forgetfulness.
Yeah, same place the Knicks were, and it seems as though the Knicks' deterioration has kind of passed on to the Pacers. But again, that's a conversation for another day, Shams.
I won't make those excuses. but I will yell at a ref.
You don't want to use it. You don't want to use it once. You can use it once.
If we lose Tyrese Halliburton, it's a whole different series.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Okay, we're a whole different team.
Man.
It is. Yep. Sean.
Go ahead, please.
Sean.
Boston Connor's not buying that. Boston Connor's not buying that.
Okay, thanks.
To be completely
Just
honest,
get the information on what the hell's wrong with them, please. Okay, we don't need you talking about Lord miracles and everything. Okay, we just need to find out the truth. They have to report by 5 today, right?
They do. They have a 5 p.m. injury report. Yes, everyone will see it publicly.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, all eyes are on the broom closets as well. They have been unlocked in Boston. The brooms are not out just yet, though. But looking at the Celtics, Shams, they're saying Porzingis could be ready Game 4. It feels like there's a chance that if the Celtics win Game 3, there might not be that push to get him back. Is there a thought that Porzingis will just end up resting this entire series and then maybe definitely come back for the finals? And what are you hearing around his front on his injured soleus, I believe, in his calf?
Yeah, that's another injury where non-contact, you strain it. Giannis Antetokounmpo missed about 4 weeks, and he had a press conference 4 weeks after the injury and said, "I'm still not running, anywhere close to where I need to be. I'm running 40%." I think is what he said. So the fact that it's a calf, like hamstrings, those are tricky injuries, and I think Porzingis is trying to do everything he can. He's doing more on the court. He's doing some stationary work on the bike. I do think the Celtics are optimistic. For the finals, assuredly he's going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
But for this series, I mean, a lot of it is day to day. A lot of it is week to week. I mean, Game 4, I believe, is early next week. You want to make sure he's 100%. And let's say they win Game 3. Let's say. I know there's going to be some upset people. But if they do win Game 3 and you're up 3-0, I think the question in Boston should be, where's that calf really at? But there's also a thought, if he is good and if he wants to play on a minutes restriction, you play him and then you get him right. And if he's got to play another game in the series, he plays on and continues to rev up and ramp up for the finals. That's obviously where they feel like and know they need him to win a championship.
Hey, just real quick, do you have in your Rolodex of information when the last time the Pacers lost at home?
The last time the Pacers lost at home?
Yeah.
Did the Bucks beat them in Indy?
No.
The Bucks never won in Indy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it has to be regular season, early April?
March 18th, pal. Okay? It's more like Painbridge Fieldhouse whenever you come in there, pal.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. So you're saying the Celtics win Game 3 and then maybe Porzingis gets some minutes at the end. Shut up.
Do you know the Celtics road record in the playoffs this year?
Huh.
Oh, it's 4-0. They haven't lost on the road yet.
They haven't been to Painbridge, Field of Pain.
Painbridge hasn't played without Tyrese since March 18th
Movable
either.
object versus unstoppable force.
Those fans in Indy, Pat, I got my start
Hamstrings.
covering games in Indianapolis with the Pacers and the Bucks. But the Pacers fans, that arena is very underrated, and those fans get rocking, especially when their team is in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's
so I've been to conference finals games there.
What do we even? I
I've
don't know
been
how
in the second round there. They get it right.
Let's talk about
Shout
the
out
other.
former Bankers Life Fieldhouse. That's what it used to be.
Yeah,
Shout
it used
out.
to be Bankers
Now
Life.
Gamebridge.
It was tough not to call it Bankers Life for like the first 5 years it's been Gamebridge.
Sure.
That happens with every stadium, though. Down in Houston, they had a stadium change like every 3 years. And I'm still playing at NRG or something like that, but I think it's Reliant now.
Yeah, something like that.
Acrisure, Heinz Field for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's
Cincinnati Bengals Stadium is just the team that didn't
Still
want to
a
make any
shithole.
money.
Yep. Paycor.
Paycor, there it was. Congrats to them.
How about crypto
They're
versus
making money.
Staples? How about crypto versus Staples?
No one calls
Yeah.
that.
Well,
That's
crypto.
a big
The
argument
Crypt,
in LA.
bro, is pretty sick. Crypt is pretty
Aren't
sick.
they
but-
I don't know.
Yeah, they lost
I hear a lot
all
of
their
people calling
money
it
getting
Staples
those
Center.
rights.
No, they sponsored some the other night on one of these NBA games. It was like the crypto.com dunk of the game. And I'm
Yep.
like, I didn't know. Like, this might as well be like Radio Shack's
Yeah.
dunk of the game. Right?
Bingo.
Best
I thought
Buy.
we were done with it, personally.
I had no idea. But they probably paid up front so much. Because remember how much money they did have.
Yeah, they had to pay up
That
front.
Tom Brady, they had the whole kit and caboodle.
Shaq
did.
Big
We want
frog in the
Staples
pants
Center
situation.
straight up. Here's $275 million. We want the dunk of the game for the next 5 years. Here's
Paid in crypto.
Anyways,
Bowl games. My
Yes.
dad has a closet. My dad worked 20-something bowl games. My dad has a closet full of bowl games, companies that don't exist anymore.
Duke's Mayo Bowl used to be
Hey,
great.
Plymouth Holiday Bowl.
The
They don't
Belk
make- They don't
Bowl.
make Plymouths anymore. Hey, Belk Bowl. Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
The Belk Bowl in Charlotte, where I live, was the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
Yep.
Yes, I'm a champion of
And
Monte Carlo.
George Foreman would show up every year. And it was the Belk Bowl and the .com. When the .com thing happened in the 90s, that's when it went out of control.
GoDaddy.com Bowl?
Yeah, the GoDaddy.com Bowl. The Danica Patrick GoDaddy.com. So we got Dale Jr.'s helmet here. Dale
Yeah,
Jr.
damn right we do. Shout out Zito
Dale
buying that.
Jr. never been to a college football game. and he drove his race car onto the field for the TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'm also a Gator Bowl champion, Monarchy Car Care Bowl champion, Gator Bowl champion.
You know it.
A lot of things change, but things need to remain the same.
They do.
Or everything will go away.
Bring back the
There you
Myrtle
go.
Beach Bowl.
Hey,
Hey, never leave your for show money looking for more money, because you might end up with
no
money.
Nice.
Let's get to the Western Conference now here. Shams, obviously tonight, game 2, Dallas, Minnesota. Dallas gets the win in the first one. They are up 1-0. Luka dominated late. Kyrie dominated early. I heard that from Wendy that was a Jason Kidd decision to basically rest up Luka early so that if his knee is bad, at least we'll have good 2 quarters in the second half with him. What are you planning on this evening? What do we need to know about injuries, and how should we be viewing this one, especially for maybe gambling on the 5.5-point favorites, the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yeah, I mean, you would expect Anthony Edwards to have a much more efficient game. I mean, the last couple games, you think about Game 7, Game 1 of this series, he 12 of 40, I believe it is, from the field. So you would expect him to figure it out in Game 2 here. He's the one who gave the challenge to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving stepped up to the task, and honestly, Pat, I just remember coming on this show in 2020, 2021. 2022, we were talking a lot about Kyrie Irving. We were talking about mandates. We were talking about drama. We were talking about trade requests. We were talking
City
about
Council.
him being traded, him going to the Lakers. We were talking about Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, deciding that somehow that they need to have a mandate to where a guy can do everything but can't play in games, and then he ends up coming to the arena. Yeah. But he's on the court. He's there, but he can't play in the games. It was a crazy time. But now you see Kyrie Irving. How happy it is, how happy he is, and that's the number one thing that I look at with him. The way that him and Luka Doncic embrace after every game, the way that now that we're not talking about mandates, we're not talking about his happiness in a city. We're talking about how much he loves the game, how much he loves his teammates, how he's a leader. There were 2 moments, Pat, I can shed light on that I think changed everything between Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. One was training camp. Them all going to Abu Dhabi, spending time with each other. Another moment was Kyrie Irving actually had a spades tournament at his house in late November. The Mavericks were in town for the Lakers-Clippers game. They were there for about a week or so in L.A. And Kyrie Irving invites the entire team, everyone's family members, to his house in L.A., and they're playing spades against each other, and I think bonding with each other, spending time with Luka's family. Kyrie Irving's family was there as well. And those are the moments where we didn't hear about that a lot in Brooklyn. We didn't hear about that a lot in Cleveland. And now that Kyrie Irving, he's one of the veteran leaders. It's crazy. He's you think about the playoff players that are remaining right now. Halliburton, obviously, young star. Jason Tatum, still trying to get his first ring. Minnesota, obviously, Anthony Edwards is developing as a face of the league.
No respect.
Luka Doncic is one of the faces of the league. Kyrie Irving has been a champion. He's been an all-star, all-NBA player. He's the veteran, the seasoned guy that's playing right now in these finals. He's the OG. He's the vet.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, obviously a name you refuse to say for whatever reason.
Jaylen Brown as well. Shout out Jaylen Brown, 40 points last night.
Yeah, but doesn't make it into that stuff.
Doesn't get mentioned.
Doesn't make it into Shams' breakdown
He
of the
signed the
start.
largest contract in NBA history, and he wanted to only get better, and he's doing that. He definitely believes he's one of the best 15 players in the league, and last night he showed it.
Well, the thing I think I enjoy most about this Celtics team, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum thing is, and I think the conversation was even happening on First Take today and probably Get Up and every other sports thing. It's is Tatum doing enough to help this team? And Jaylen Brown, is he the real star of this team? Now, he's got the max contract.
Yeah.
So everybody on the team is yeah, this guy is one of our stars. Those two pick up for each other whenever they need it. It feels like a great tag team. They're both saying my team, though, which is interesting, because you could use the word our. Pronoun could be our whenever they're utilizing and talking about motivating the locker room and everything. But they both say my team, which I respect and appreciate, that they're both in the roles. And then you got Al Horford, who's 95 years old. Yep. He's probably a leader in there as well. And Joe Mazzulla, he's making adjustments. He's obviously can tap out and break the arm of everybody on the team because of his jiu-jitsu training that he does after games late night in his house. So it's that team feels like they got a lot of dogs on him. And when Tatum plays bad, Brown is picked up for it. And I assume there's going to come a time when Tatum is going to go absolutely ape shit, and Brown is probably not going to be as well. And the conversation is going to flip on his head. Is this how it's always been for the Celtics? I'm just realizing this because they're obviously taking on the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Final. Has this been the story of the Celtics with these two since they got there?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone. This is the 6th Eastern Conference Final that they've been to. You know, like they have gone deep in the playoffs. And you know, when Kyrie came to Boston, one of the problems was when he got hurt, they still went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's kind of when it became Tatum and Brown's team. And Kyrie, obviously, you know, everything happened with him, and then he left. And you mentioned the adjustments from Missoula. They dominated the offensive rebounds because they were crashing on the baseline. We kept seeing that with Jaylen Brown either mixing it up or, you know, Derek White. But yeah, Tatum, I expect a massive road game. There were a couple years ago when they were down 3-2 against the Bucks. Tatum went for like 45 on the road, win Game 7, win Eastern Conference Finals again.
Those two get along, though?
Oh, yeah, very well. Tatum's been there since he was 18, 19. Jalen's been there since he was 20. Jalen was drafted in 17 or 16. Tatum was the year after. They've legitimately grown up together in Boston.
Well, congrats, boys. Looks like you got one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pacers going to be tough in the field, the Painbridge Fieldhouse. You just need to know that's the case. Let's talk about the playoffs in a face that we're used to seeing. And obviously, every time you come on, we have to bring this name up because you are plugged in.
Yep.
This guy is completely plugged into the whole situation. The Lakers are not in the playoffs, and if you listen to a lot of people that talk about the NBA on a regular basis, they say with the way this Western Conference is set up, it don't matter who's coaching that team.
No.
That team is done for. They are irrelevant. They're not going to make it back. Where are we with the Lakers right now in the coaching search? Where are we in what the future looks like for LeBron, who's potentially going to be a free agent? Is that possible? What is the situation currently standing for the Los Angeles Lakers? And we ask not only because Lakers have needle-moving ability, this is not, but because this guy seemingly, he's right in the middle of the war room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shams is in there. Shams, what the hell's going on over there in LA right now?
Yeah, so let's start with their roster. The organization definitely believes that they have a roster that should have been able to compete much more in these playoffs than they did. And you think about where they ended up in the playoff rankings. They were the 7th seed. They feel like there was a month or so, a couple weeks of the season where it just did not go the way that they wanted. It obviously affected them in the standings. And LeBron James and this organization, they don't want to be in a position next season where they're playing in the play-in tournament, where they're fighting for the 7 or 8 seed. So that's a big point of emphasis, is putting an emphasis on the regular season next year, where you're putting yourself, like if the Lakers ended up on the other side of the bracket where it's OKC and Dallas and that whole series where you're playing New Orleans or whatever, like that, you feel like maybe you have a much better chance to advance. You play Denver in round 1, like you're running into a buzzsaw. So I think now the Lakers, where they're standing is they've started their coaching interviews. I'm told last week the Lakers met with J.J. Redick in Chicago at the draft combine. They met for an extended period of time to really get to know him and spend time with him. And he was the first candidate to really do a face-to-face meeting. And then they brought in James Borrego in L.A. on Monday, Sam Cassell, David Adelman, Micah Nori, Chris Quinn is going to get an interview as well in L.A. So they're finishing up their first round of interviews this week. Next week, I believe they're going to start their second phase in this process, get more conversations with candidates, get more maybe basketball-centric conversations in. I think a lot of it now was surface level. But going into this process, and right now, my sense is that J.J. Redick, he is the guy around the league that everyone believes is the front runner for this job. He's in position. I think there's an infatuation with J.J. Redick right now, just in terms of his ability for right now, but also being a coach that the Lakers can have for years and years to come. That's someone who's obviously young enough in the industry, young enough in the space where you feel like you have a 4, 5, maybe 6-year runway with a guy like J.J. Redick as your head coach, where now you have him command the respect of a LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But listen, this is Anthony Davis's team moving forward. He's the one who's 31 in the prime of his career. So how can, whether it's J.J. Redick or another coach, dictate how you're going to revolve your game plan around Anthony Davis? And I think that's going to be an important part. But I think their process is going to continue. LeBron James is going to continue to watch how that goes. He's going to continue to watch how they, even more importantly, how they manage their roster. And he has a player option date, June 29th. He has not made a decision yet. He could opt in. He could opt out. He could extend off an opt-in or sign a new free agent deal. And he's going to see what moves they make come summertime, come next month, as we get closer to the draft. That's where a lot of the bigger trades happen. and he's going to keep a very, very close eye. But
Yeah.
From what I understand, they're going to have more interviews right now. But
Yeah.
listen,
JJ Redick's
Yep.
coach.
He's
Yeah,
the head coach.
so you know
the
what's
way
going
this process is going,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people around the league are connecting some dots in terms of the interview process that's going on right now. And listen, JJ Redick does have a responsibility. He's calling games in the conference finals, the NBA finals, and so and any if he does take over, he wouldn't be taking over until after the finals anyway. So the Lakers are able to actually use that as an advantage to really go through all the interviews that they want to.
And then focus in on JJ, comparing him to whoever they were thinking about potentially going in. Coach JJ Redick feels like the perfect guy for LA too, right? Good personality, can talk well.
Yeah, played there for a while.
And if you want to know if he's a smart basketball guy or not, obviously you can go back to his career. But this mind to game thing is going to be viewed as a season-long interview process from LeBron for his next coach.
Yep.
That is exactly what it's going to be. So now, let's say LeBron opts out, but then gets a deal done with LA to go back there, or opts in to go back to be a Laker. If there comes a time where LeBron's not happy with JJ, we can go back to episode 3 and say, hey, this is what we all did.
Yeah.
We all said we're going to slip under a pick, we're going to slide to the baseline, then we're going to do the triangle quarter zip, and then we're going to come through here, and then there's going to be a whoop-de-woo, and then they're going to do the whole fuckity bang.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then
What was that? What was that, Pat?
it's the fuckity bang. You get. How much do you want this to be muted, chumps?
Yeah,
Jeez.
Jeez Louise.
It's not my lingo. This is basketball shit I'm talking about here. But I saw that on Mind the Game, all of it. So if there's any disagreements, it's like we can just go back and see is JJ wrong or is LeBron wrong?
Yeah.
It's
And then if the podcast starts doing bad, does LeBron say like, "Hey, I'm gonna have to let you go, like I let Frank Vogel go, and I'm gonna have to bring in someone new"?
well, Frank Vogel's not the only one.
No.
But if you don't
David
win with
Blatt.
Braun, you are viewed vastly differently. And JJ Redick, I hope he has success. If he is the next,
I will say this: whoever they hire is their hire. The Lakers have had.
Yeah, of
Sure.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. All right, last question
sure.
here, Sean,
All right.
from Mr. McGee.
So, Sean, is there a scenario? I'm a dad, right? I got a daughter in college. Is there a scenario now that we know LeBron has an exit strategy, if he wants one, where I'm looking at bets now. Bronny James, being a number 1 draft pick, certainly a top 10 draft. Is there? I'm just saying, people are taking bets on it. Is there a universe where LeBron is putting himself into a position to go play ball with his kid? I'm old enough to remember Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think LeBron's waiting. I personally believe he's waiting to play in a league with his kid, whether it's for 1 game or whether it's for 100 games. But is there a multiverse scenario where LeBron could end up on a roster with his kid?
Yes, there's definitely a scenario where he ends up on the roster with LeBron. That LeBron James ends up on the roster with Bronny James. And for the simple fact is, the Lakers, they want to potentially draft Bronny James. They have the number 55 overall pick in the draft. They have the number 17th pick in the draft as well. And they obviously want to have LeBron James on the roster, and they want to see if they can fulfill his vision. He's been on the record about it. But I think for Bronny James, it is important, whether it's the Lakers or it's another team, to figure out a home where, from a development perspective, from a perspective of your future being solidified, because I don't think Bronny James wants to just play a couple years. From what I'm told, LeBron James is going to play up to 2 more NBA seasons. I don't think Bronny James' vision is to play 2 NBA seasons and then be done once his dad is done. I think the vision is having a long NBA career, having a runway, and whether that's in LA, whether that's elsewhere. I'm told he has over 10 NBA invites to work out right now. He had a pro day the other day on Wednesday in Los Angeles. He worked out at the Combine last week. Shit. I think there's obviously teams really looking at the way he shoots, the way he is right now. We know about the cardiac arrest last year, but he looks like he's in good shape. And I talked to some teams. He might have even bulked up just a little bit since the season ended. But he has over 10 NBA invites. I'm told one other team that Bronny James will be working out for is the Phoenix Suns before the NBA draft. So the Suns have the number 22 overall pick. He's among several players under consideration for that.
Come on down to Charlotte.
Charlotte?
I'm a Hornets guy, right? Come on down to Charlotte.
No, he said Phoenix.
Did you know LeBron James loves Charlotte? And the reason he loves Charlotte is because Bojangles, I'm not making this up, Bojangles chicken. I wrote a story about this in damn ESPN the magazine. When LeBron James was a rookie, The deal was he would leave games at the old Hive, and the takeaway food to go get on the plane after a game for the visiting team was a little 2-piece box of fried chicken from Bojangles. You know Bojangles?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so LeBron James became so obsessed with Bojangles, he would on the plane as a rookie hand out cash, give me your, and he'd take it all home. And finally, he would send the clubhouse attendant to go buy like one of these tailgate packs to take back to Cleveland with him. So yeah. Hey, Bronny and LeBron.
Mr. McGee, I'm not holding my breath on Charlotte.
Come on, LeBron. You get all the free Bojangles you want.
Let McGee cook.
Come on. I can make that happen. I know people.
Be a coach and all.
I love that you're going to get a Bojangles deal done potentially to close this deal in the Hornets.
Come on, I'm going to keep slapping this microphone unless we get LeBron.
All right, Shams, we appreciate the hell out of you. We got to talk college ball because there's a lot of shit going on in the NCAA. You're the man, pal. We appreciate it.
Always appreciate it, boys. Appreciate it.
The man who covers the WNBA is Sean, and the NBA is Shams. Shams Sharon.
I might have to start that. I might have to start that.
Do it. Smart.
You know Bojangles?
You think he's going on a horn?
It's so damn good. It is so good. I'm telling you, LeBron, I wrote that story in ESPN the magazine, and I remember arguing with the editors who were all based in Manhattan. Like, we can't write this story. I'm like, yeah, we can. Like, it's delicious fried chicken. Why the hell can't we write this story? I don't understand what the problem is. It's amazing. It's still amazing. I had it like 3 days ago. I'm good. It's fine.
That started in North Carolina, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's in Charlotte. Like literally around the corner.
I can't wait to get some.
I know.
Hey,
when I was a kid, all the Bojangles, like the Stanley Boat, looked like like river boats. Like they had the big wheel on the back and like the smokestacks and stuff. You kidding me? When you're a kid going to get damn fried chicken?
Grew up in 1910.
1979. Hell yeah.
Was Firehouse Subs from North Carolina as well?
I don't know. There might be.
Not Bojangles.
Not Bojangles.
Not Bojangles.
They got ran out of town by Bojangles.
You guys are, I'll tell you what, that seems like a source of pride out of North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm telling you, I remember them telling me, I thought I had this big scoop.
They said they were going to make it. You guys said, no way.
The guys at Hornets are like, hey, man, you don't even understand how much LeBron James loves Bojangles. I'm like, I'm writing this story. I'm like, I wrote the magazine was like, is this the Hornets' secret weapon to finally slow LeBron James? Just fill him up with Bojangles. I wrote that in ESPN the magazine. God bless America. They sent me a paycheck for that.
Did you get a quote? Did you get a quote from LeBron?
Sent me a paycheck.
Bojangles sent me a big box of stuff.
For those that are wondering right now, as they should, it sounds like they should maybe give you free Bojangles for the rest of your life, let alone LeBron. He's drinking a Diet Mountain Dew right now.
I got my Dale Jr. This is my Dale Jr. juice. I got y'all left me Dale Jr.'s helmet over here, and Dale Jr. juice is Diet Mountain Dew.
Hell yeah. Hey, keep going, McGee.
Yep.
No, it's the best. When I work with Dale Jr., that's the best part. Is his coolers. He's still in the Budweiser deal. If you're a NASCAR driver that ever drove the Budweiser car, even if you moved on to drive for someone else, you're still in the Budweiser. Kenny Schrader drove the Budweiser car like 30 years ago. He still gets free Budweiser.
So Junior just has.
So Junior just has
Fridges full.
Fridges full of Budweiser and Diet Mountain Dew, and God bless America, I'm in.
Hell yeah.
Yes, I
Joining
do.
us now, a man who would be disgusted by that fridge, but a guy who knows everything about college football, which is why we call him the authority. There's a lot going on in the NCAA and the football world, and there's been one man that has not slept for 2 to 3 years trying to get to the bottom of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Emmy Award winner from College Game Day, Pete Thamel.
Yeah.
Pete, how you doing?
My sources can confirm that the Bojangles conversation is going to be a lot more interesting than what I'm going to tell you.
I disagree. The Bojangles conversation is certainly a nice little factoid that is added into the entire story of the greatness of the state of North Carolina. Way to go. Way to go, North Carolina. But let's talk about what you have been covering, and obviously alongside your peers at ESPN.com and other places about this NCAA story. For the first time in NCAA's existence, there has now been an agreement for schools to be able to pay players, which leads to so many more questions. But is that the basis of what took place? And how far into this are we? And how does this end up? Because McGee did an entire speech literally at the beginning of the show saying, if our Saturdays start looking like our Sundays, then what is even Saturday football? And why am I even a fan of it? Which could potentially be SEC fans that are diehard college and other diehard college football fans thinking that. That's their biggest fear. This ruling seems to probably feed that a little bit. Is that where we are? What are your thoughts, and how did we get here, Pete? I'll kind of give you an open slate to kind of run with it.
Well, thanks, Pat. Amateurism is dead is the headline. Schools can now directly pay college athletes, which is a huge, huge development just for college athletics in general. And we can't overstate how important that is as a moment. Now, where this all goes and the details and who gets what and is Title IX about, there is still, much like most things in college sports, it's convoluted and confusing. But I just think if like your listeners or viewers obviously are going to take one thing away today, Pat, it's that Ohio State, starting in 2025, can now pay Travion Henderson. Michigan can now pay Will Johnson, whoever. Now, they won't be there in 2025. But you know what I mean? Like the star players in college football and college basketball can get paid directly by the school. In the years of sort of indirect payments, we had 3 years of NIL. We had many years of duffel bags full of cash. That stuff is
McDonald's
over.
bags?
Now,
Tennessee,
go Vols.
Yeah.
Give me a McDonald's bag full of cash, please.
Give me a McCheese
Yeah,
with double the check.
Our playbook's right out of the 1990s.
Between Saturday football, Bojangles, and a Tennessee bag of cash, it's really Ryan McGee Day today.
That's
On
it.
the,
Every day
on the
could be
Batman
McGee
show.
Day. Just would like to let you know we're having a great day
Hey,
here.
put that in a Bojangles bag, and I'm good.
I'll take the shit out of that. Okay, so as we're talking about this all, there was a lawsuit that was prompting this, right? Is that kind of what I read?
Yes.
I was trying to follow
Yes.
as much as I could, but it was very
Sure.
wordy. All of it was wordy. You had 4 bylines yesterday on ESPN.com, McGee said, but there was a lawsuit coming that was worth billions of dollars. The NCAA had to counter it by passing this rule. What was that lawsuit? And is Pat White going to make money off of West Virginia this far removed from what he did to that potential university and others like him?
Yeah, Pat White will not because it's 2016 and on, but Zach Frazier could make some money.
Zach.
And, like Zion Williamson should make a lot of money, right? Like that guy, the folks like that. I think Johnny Manziel would fall within the window if it's 2016 on. Now, how that's actually going to get divided up could be its own podcast mini-series, 30 for 30. There are going to be people a lot smarter than me that are going to have to determine how you take $2.7+ billion, chop it up. The lawyers are going to make a lot of money. That we know. Jeffrey Kessler, who really has had his hand in most of the major, union type battles or labor type battles in professional sports over the past 4 or 5 decades. He and Berman, the other co-counsel in this, are going to walk out with a lot of money. But how that stuff gets divided up hasn't been determined yet. Nor, and I think this is the other probably crucial point right now as we look into it, is nor has schools said, okay, with this roughly $20 million, does $10 million go to women's sports because of Title IX, or can we take $18 million and direct that towards football? Because football, and I think it's a safe estimate, Ryan could disagree with me here, is about 85% of the revenue at most schools proportional to the TV contracts. So, because that's just a giant difference if you're operating with an $18 million, which is essentially going to be a salary cap at a power school, versus $8 million, right? So these are the things that have to be determined. The other very football-centric piece of this that isn't determined is there are going to be roster caps. Now, I'm going to go in the weeds a little bit with you here. There used to be scholarship limits. Yep. So, they're weird numbers. So football at 85, that was clean, but baseball was 12,
11.8,
9.9. Yeah,
yep.
McGee might know some of those nuanced numbers better than me.
He does.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And so,
baby, you big dumb Southern hick.
Yeah.
Look at that, you got it. You got it.
Over here eating my chicken legs. Gotta leave me alone.
And a frog on a frying pan. Go ahead, though, Pete. Sorry about it.
So the sort of basic legal tenet of this is that because it's an antitrust suit, they're trying to eliminate limitations. So instead of telling Clemson they can only have 85 scholarship players in this, or Ole Miss is a great example, or Mississippi State, they have unbelievable baseball, and they were limited to about 10 baseball scholarships. So now, if you want to give out 25 baseball scholarships, you can. There's simply just going to be a roster cap, and you can determine. Maryland may say, you know what, we only want 12 baseball scholarships. But Ole Miss is going to say, hey, man, we pack $5,000 a night, and everybody sits out in the outfield and drinks, and we get a good old time here. And baseball means a lot to our community and our fan base. We're going to have up to the roster cap as opposed to the scholarship limit. Now, what we don't know yet for football is what the roster cap. We know there are going to be roster caps. We don't know if the roster cap is going to be 95, if it's going to be 105, it's going to stay at 85. And there is a conversation. I don't think we're going to get there ultimately because it's too important to Saturday football. And I'm a believer in Saturday football. I've heard the McGee pep talk speech, and I'm a believer in Saturday football.
Yeah.
Walk-ons are a crucial part of Saturday football, correct, Ryan McGee?
Absolutely.
Good stories, for
Who's
sure.
your favorite walk-on, Ryan McGee?
Oh, your favorite walk-on of all time is Baker Mayfield, who walked on like 14 different times and then won the Heisman Trophy.
Just got paid, too, again.
Shout out.
Your co-host, J.J. Watt, walk-on, right?
Yep.
Hunter Renfrow caught the winning. So, anyway, I
Owen
don't
Schmidt,
think we're
walk-on.
going.
Yeah.
Owen Schmidt, great walk-on, great claw pad.
Yeah, thank you.
So
he was working at a club,
I-
actually, as a security guy. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was.
I would not have misbehaved in that club.
Yeah, the head was coming. Yeah. It was fucking big. That was.
So I think walk-ons are too important part of Saturday football for them to be eliminated, but there's going to have to be some type of mechanism to put them in because scholarships or rosters are going to be capped at a certain number, and they may have to have practice squads, something different. So anyway, these are some of the changes that are coming. We just don't know the final answers yet.
Okay, last question for me before the boys have some here. So $20 million is what the school is allowed to give out. Now, are boosters still allowed to do the NIL thing? And then all of a sudden, whenever you talk about scholarships, like let's say I want to pay Boston Connor here $100,000, but we're going to take $25,000 of that, and that's going to allot for your schooling. So it's actually a scholarship, but it's not actually a scholarship. You're actually making $75,000. You're lucky to be getting it, kid.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thank you for this opportunity.
You know, back in the day when I was there, we had to fucking get loans out at 47% interest rate.
I remember
so we
hearing
could have
about
money.
that. Well, when I had 10 touchdowns this year, I won 175.
Oh, we'll talk about that after season. I'm sure you'll come in bitching like this entire generation does, and I'll have to re-recruit you and everything, but you're welcome for this. Can that happen as well? Are the boosters' money still going to be involved in the NIL entire deal, this entire thing, you think?
So because the fundamental tenets of antitrust in settling these things are to avoid future lawsuits, you can't just eliminate NIL. And it doesn't make sense to bring NIL in-house, or at least that's not what people think is going to happen. So in a way, how to manage NIL is probably the biggest issue that administrators have right now, because essentially, if you have, just say you have your $15 million salary cap for football, to use a round number at your run-of-the-mill SEC school, your competitive advantage, potentially in a gray area, right? We're used to those for a few decades in college football, comes from NIL. And when you drill down on it, what they're trying to determine, Pat, is what is real NIL and what is like someone going to a charity event for 20 minutes, shaking a few hands, and then getting $100,000. Is that like indicative? So the NIL deal,
You are what they'll pay you.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's fair. So again, NCAA enforcement has been just about as impotent over the years as the NCAA has been in the courtroom, and that's how we got to this point. So having this historic day go forward without an answer for how NIL will be managed and how people are going to oversee it, there's a thought that maybe Judge Wilkin in Northern California has a federal magistrate that creates a bureau to oversee it, just like in the front offices of the NBA and NHL and NFL. There's ways to manage different tampering and things like that. But the NCAA is not
A Northern California judge is going to be overlooking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, college ball.
Hey, that's ACC territory up there, man.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
Got to get him a Bojangles, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it sounds like there's obviously a lot of questions still. There's just an agreement like, yeah, you can pay $20 million at this point. Just kind of get this lawsuit off their ass. More questions are going to be coming, though. Here's one from McGee.
All right, so Pete, the texts that I'm receiving, and I know you are too, are from administrators at non-autonomous Power 5, Power 4, whatever the hell we're calling it now. But they are taking on a large part of paying off this settlement. What is your elevator explanation to people now when they didn't go to Ohio State and Notre Dame, but they went to Ball State or Coastal Carolina, and now they feel like they're having to pay 60% of this as opposed to the guys with the money who are having to pay 40% of it?
What's this all about, Pete?
So the NCAA is, and by the way, buying itself a decade of relevancy by doing this. They are volunteering to pick up the tab, but they're having basically everyone Venmo them. That would be the best way to describe it. But instead of Venmoing them, the NCAA gives an inordinate amount of money to these schools, more than I even knew when I drilled into this last week when everybody started to complain. And rightfully so, by the way. They're not baseless complaints. And so what happens is there's 9 different categories that the NCAA pays all these schools in, and 6 of them are now going to be limited. A lot of that we see manifested through NCAA tournament units, NCAA tournament performance fund, it's called. And essentially, that stuff is going to be, some of that stuff is going to be pared back in order for that to happen. So there's like big numbers that, like, the Big East is going to pay $5.5 million to about $7 million per year, which translates down to $500,000 per school. But ultimately, what the NCAA will tell you is, look, if we don't all pick up the tab here, we're going to lose these lawsuits, fall apart, declare bankruptcy, and have to start all over. And
how many people are like, that's okay with us? Did anybody say that about the NCAA?
I think you'd get a lot of hands raised on your show for that. That would just be complicated and messy. So they're essentially paying billions, Pat, to avoid paying more billions and risk just sort of a shutdown, a shutdown and restart. And even everyone who's cynical about the NCAA, and they've given us plenty of reasons to be, does have to admit, like, whatever is recreated, there would need to be a governing body. Somebody would have to run all the championships but football. And so
the biggest issue here, when you're talking about a governing body and recreating all that and all the impossible tasks that have to be completed with actual humans, in theory, all this shit sounds good. Just like in theory, a player union sounds good. But that is inevitable, right? Players are going to need to have a union at some point with this entire thing, especially if there's a rev share conversation taking place, and then you're negotiating what can be negotiated, what can't be negotiated. But a union for a turnstile, you're only there for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is. So that's going to be a whole different group. So who's going to be the person? A union in theory sounds easy to create, but that's going to be impossible as well. There's a lot of shit that has to get figured out before 2025 when this is instituted.
Yes. So kickoff, we're like 100 days from kickoff. I saw the tweets this week. So, yeah, we could say 460 days, right?
But to Pete's point, though, and people don't get this. The NCAA headquarters, which are sitting right down the road from where we are,
they're the worst.
But that has to exist. There has to be some form of that. And what no one understands is, I say this all the time, is that the NCAA, the people who are in that building, their job is to enforce the rules and regulations that were written by the membership. You go to the NCAA website and you look at every committee, and it's representatives from the schools. The people in this building down here, their only job is to enforce what in fact, when those committees meet, and my dad was on these committees, when these committees meet, NCAA executives have to sit outside. They're not even allowed to be in the room. So most of what happens in that building, the inmates are running the asylum. So some form of the NCAA will always exist because someone has to. Pete's right. The NCAA is bad at a lot of things. They're really, really good at running championships. Like, I'm going to the College World Series in a few weeks.
March Madness is awesome.
They're really good at that. Someone needs to do that. Someone needs to take care of the clerical stuff that the colleges, that the universities don't want to do, and someone has to be the scapegoat. You've got to have someone to point to and go, well, that damn guy is the worst. Yeah. And there has to be a scarecrow.
Commissioner.
Right. And so that's why there will always be some form of this, no matter where we have a super league or whatever. There's always going to be something that looks like the NCAA.
Hell yeah. And that's a shame, but it's also maybe a brighter future with what was voted upon yesterday. Can't be changing college football, though, completely.
No.
Because what college football is great, and it's the number 2 sport in the United States of America, and the authority of it just stopped by with his eyes closed. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Thamel. He froze at the perfect time. Hour 1 wrapping up here. We'll be back in hour 2. We'll have PK Subban joining us.
Let's go.
And we'll also have AJ Hawk, and guess who else is here?
Who's that?
Ryan fucking McGee.
Yeah.
Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Hour 2's on the other side. Go wipe your ass with some dude wipes. Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Office Championship Wrestling live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tonight we have a straight to hell match in which the devil will battle against our office wrestler, Dylan Boston. You might be wondering how we got here. Let's find out right now.
And now,
we have to make a deal with the devil.
Yeah, no big deal. Classic trial by combat situation. We got our champion, Dylan Bostic. All he's got to do, win the match, 1, 2, 3, and we're home safe.
The only man that would take the job to protect us from the devil himself, Dylan Bostic.
Like you mentioned, Pat, there's probably about 5 or 6 other guys we'd rather have in this position, but we'll take Bostic, I guess.
Not only are all of our souls on the line, the Office Championship Wrestling Championship presented by Natural Light is also on the line.
Jesus, the devil's trying to put Bostic straight to hell!
I do not want to go to
Good God,
hell!
no!
Don't do
Good
it!
God, no! Come on, Bostic, Pat!
Oh, no! Oh, my...
I'll see you in hell, Pat. The goddamn Easter Bunny's out here! What the hell's he doing here?
The Easter Bunny is obviously here to help Dylan Bostic. Wait a minute. No!
Oh, no!
The Easter Bunny's been on the devil's side this whole time. Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
What the hell's Jesus Christ doing here?
The power of Christ is compelling Dylan Bostic.
Look at this, Pat! Jesus Christ is bringing Bostic back to life! Jesus is going insane! And now Bostic's kicking wholesale ass in the ring!
Jesus Christ has come to help Dylan Bostic defeat the devil and defeat the Easter Bunny. What's gonna happen here?
Good God Almighty, it looks like he's going up in the scissor lift!
Jesus is lifting the scissor lift! Jesus is now telling Bostic to come down from
Don't do it, Bostic! Don't do it! Oh my God! Bostic's dead! He's dead! You can't tell from home, but that scissor lift is about 8 stories up, Pat!
80 feet in the air! Oh wait, he's tuning up the bed! The devil!
Super kick! Into the casket! The devil goes down! The devil goes down!
He shuts the casket!
And
Back to
that's
hell! The devil goes straight back to hell, where he belongs!
it! With the assist from Jesus Christ of Nazareth!
Dylan Bostic saves the PMI office's souls and wins the OCW championship right here on our first.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
Why?
let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers,
You pig!
Damn it!
Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this McGee Feel Good Friday, May 24th, 2024. Hour 2 of the program starts now. Speed! That's what this weekend's all about in this particular city. The Talks Table is here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Great hat, Ty.
Well, you know, hey, it's Indy 500 weekend, so if I'm ever going to wear it, why not wear it today?
You've really come full circle this month of May, haven't you?
I have. I'll tell you what, I'm
in.
praying that the rain holds off on Sunday, and I cannot wait to watch the race. Don't know how I'm going to watch it yet, you know, because I am in the blackout zone, but I'll figure it out. Maybe just listen to it.
I think the Peacock, will have it, but there is a chance we're going to have to figure out a way to put our VIN outside of Indiana.
Sure, and I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to have to figure out something else.
Well, we're hoping that the rain doesn't come too, because all golf courses will be wide open. Just wide open.
Good thought.
Well, I hadn't even thought about that.
Except for the one inside the racetrack.
True. Bingo.
Although, I'll
Packed
say
with
this.
cars that are parked. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ryan McGee.
Can you play Brickyard Crossing? Like, you play while is there a race going on? And I've played that course when there's testing going on.
Oh yeah,
You can go
That's
like
awesome.
Saturday and today. when
yeah.
stuff's going
Not
on.
while the race is going on. There's a lot of cars parked.
Yeah, there's also the snake pit, which the snake pit now is corporatized and it's awesome. Like they do the whole
corporatized, and
they
it's
do-
awesome.
They do the whole. But back in the day, man.
Oh yeah, I've heard photos. If this is your 20th Indy 500,
Yes.
that means you definitely were around when the snake pit had its fastball.
You saw Guns N' Roses there, right?
Yeah, I say again.
You saw Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, I saw it. George Thorogood's down there today.
Oh man,
George
bad to the
Thorogood and the
bone.
Dale Latterdam Destroyers.
What? Timmy Trumpet's starting a day off on Sunday at 10 a.m. in the snake pit, which is now the new snake pit.
Yes.
That got corporatized. The reason why it got corporatized is I do believe there was like 10 to 15 dead bodies in that snake pit back in the day.
It was something. Talladega.
It was something.
Yeah. Talladega, the infield at Talladega Superspeedway, and then obviously turn 3 at Indy. I've seen stuff that I'm just going to keep to myself. The Talladega, they do a thing after every Cup race. Talladega, they do a left behind, they call it, and they just walk around the infield taking pictures of stuff that they just find.
Yeah.
Couches and underwear. And,
People.
Humans.
Oh, yeah. Like cars. So the guy just left the damn car and I don't want that car anymore, and just leave. It's like, but the snake pit is like that. But the snake, I brought my wife and daughter to the race in 2017, I guess it was, and I remember all of the people coming in, and it was who's the DJ, like electronic guy? Wears
Marshmallow.
They're all wearing the damn marshmallow things on their head. And none of them knew there was even a race going on.
Oh, no.
I heard a guy say, "Is there something else going on here today?" Yeah, the damn greatest spectacle in racing.
You can't see a car, though,
But
whenever
they
you're in
have
there.
No.
You were in the infield. 2017 is when the RVs. That was the same year.
Yeah, Marshmallow, I actually saw him from where we were.
Yeah.
I've seen Marshmallow's face because he got off his bus.
What?
No Marshmallow mask. It's off his bus.
What?
They bring him Marshmallow mask within probably a foot and a half of getting off the bus, and I eyeball it. I go, I just
Okay.
seen,
There you go.
I just seen Marshmallow.
Who does he
Yeah.
look like? Who would you say he looks like?
Just
You heard of Avicii?
don't you do that.
Look.
Don't you do
It's
that.
just something to think about. Who?
DJ Marshmallow isn't Tim.
I mean,
Okay.
can we confirm that? Can we confirm that the Daft Punk guys aren't Tim?
Well, Daft Punk used to really light it. Timmy Trumpet's about to light
Pumps.
Indianapolis on fire, but when you're in that snake pit, you can't even see the cars.
Was it the Mallow or was it one of his body doubles?
Well, that was what my thought immediately was like,
Does
that's
Mark-
brilliant.
Does he
You
have
just-
body doubles?
Well,
The Mallow?
Well, the thing about
Do we
Mark,
call him the Mallow? Is that an actual
Yeah.
term?
If you'd
Okay,
like
okay.
to.
we don't know. We're,
Yeah.
we're talking from the same angle
Mr.
you are.
Mallow.
We don't know Mr. Mallow.
But it's amazing. I mean, it is. I always go down there. I went down there with Connor Daly. I think he's a friend of the show. I went down with Connor Daly a couple of years ago. Connor's the best, and we went down early. He's like, "You don't even believe what we're going to see." And it was like 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "This is a little intense," but it was.
You going to stop by the Coke lot while you're here?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what the Coke lot is?
No.
Oh, yeah, you should just take a little trip around there.
Kilos on kilos.
The night before. Go the night before or 2 nights before. They're camping out already probably in the Coke lot. You should go swing by the Coke lot.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, you'll see some poles and stuff out there in the middle of.
Well, I'm always
There you go.
working. I did a live show.
They are too. I mean,
Yeah,
some people call that the oldest job.
Two different places this has happened to me live on SportsCenter, and one was at the world's largest. We're not allowed to call it this. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I call it the Earth's biggest, al fresco libation soiree. What the hell? I don't know what you call it. But
Why aren't you allowed to call it the
Georgia,
ones
Florida?
anymore?
They didn't want to call it that anymore. So
Yeah, because the first time I was on game day,
you did that.
I just called it that, and then I got a bunch of people telling me you're not allowed to call it that. I was like,
Whatever.
says who?
It's
Who?
fine. It is what it is. But I was doing a live shot on SportsCenter.
so dumb.
Who made that
That's
rule?
so dumb.
They did.
Who's they?
I don't know. The Georgia, Florida people. I don't know.
Oh, these are
Florida, Georgia line?
The line?
What?
Because they're fighting right now too. I don't know.
That
They
might be
split
why,
up.
because one of them said, "Hey, we're not
Their
calling
bars
it anymore."
closing?
Yeah, they don't get any say on anything.
Pets' heads are
But,
That's not my country.
yeah, it's not. And that's a whole other. That's an entire episode of Marty McGee right there. But it happened at that game, and it happened at Indy 500 doing a live shot, and literally they're setting up a pole behind me, and it happened to me twice. And the producer is like doing this. What the hell's she doing? Twisting her hand. I realized. So while we're doing the live shot, I'm literally like turning
Do background.
like this. So the background changes because they're back there setting up a disco ball and a pole behind me. So there you go, kids.
Hey.
Enjoy the Indy 500.
Yeah, but the pole was holding down the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That
The
is
maypole.
Yeah, exactly.
It was one of those. It was like Napoleon Dynamite. The damn volleyball on the pole.
And I think it was sort of charitable situation that was about to happen.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Joining us now is a man who knows all about this stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a Ryder Cup winner, and a pole king. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk.
Yeah.
That's what they call you, a pole king.
My man.
The pole king.
You're telling me they're setting up stripper poles and people are selling their body on the infield of the Indy 500?
They're not selling their body. I mean,
You
I think
said the
they're
oldest
earning
profession
it.
They're putting
is
on a
prostitution.
show.
You said
It
the
has
oldest
changed.
profession.
Just for looking,
Yeah.
you can't touch.
In,
Yeah,
the,
they're-
in the
show.
60s and 70s, it was Sodom and Gomorrah. Now it's a little. Now it's a little. different.
Yeah. It's not the same now. Not Dega. Dega is the same.
Dega.
No.
We saw
Dega
some
never
Dega.
changed. Yeah, Dega never changed.
Talladega, raised up. He's got a bar down Nashville now. There's chairs on the roof.
You see that?
Yes, the Marty Smith. Marty Smith has talked about this on our own Marty McGee. He's an investor in that deal. He says he owns the toilet paper.
Smart. Nobody wants that chair. You know,
Yeah.
I believe there's signs at the top of Eric Church's bar now that says you're not more than your wallet.
Yeah, don't even think about it.
Don't even think.
Yeah.
Nashville, what a city. What a great
Unbelievable. Need to get back down there.
city. Absolutely.
It has changed a little over the years. When I was a student at Tennessee, we'd go to Nashville, and it was a little seedier, and now it's corporatized. And,
But it's awesome.
Yeah, but it's great.
But it's awesome. But Tootsie's is still, as long as, again, like college football, as long as Tootsie's is still Tootsie's, I'm fine. They ruined Tootsie's, I'm gone.
AJ, how do you feel about the college football world right now? Obviously, we just had Pete Dam on. He came on to tell us historic, huge day. So many questions. We got about 460 days to figure it all out before the 2025 season. He also alluded to the fact that the multi-billion-dollar lawsuit that was coming down certainly expedited some decisions here from the NCAA. Amateurism was a word that they made up to answer for everything that they thought was bullshit happening under their belt. Now that is gone. What are your thoughts on it, AJ? Obviously, Ohio State's going to benefit from this somehow, right?
Yeah, I guess, but I still there's a million, like every new decision that comes up, there's 100 more questions on how you're going to figure it out. Like, what are the logistics? And if all these schools are able to pay them, yeah, that was a great question to Pete. Like, what happens to all the NIL money, all the deal? Like, what are we going to do? So just you're going to make money on top of what the school is paying each player.
So I guess each school in that $20 million that's going to be divvied up. What's going to be divvied up into?
That's a salary cap, right?
I don't know if it's a salary cap or if that's a salary floor. You know, now it's like, do you have to give this up? You can't collect this money yourself for your own school, especially if other schools are paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
He said that people were putting money up, and then also TV rights, I think. And like
boosters and
their
the
entire-
Like, can tuition, is tuition a part of like is any money the school make, is that part of the $20 million that they can pay?
I do wonder. And remember, there was a time where they said they can't afford it. They're not making money. None of these schools are making money. Now, they just built a $750 million facility.
Yeah.
And the TV deals just went through the roof, too.
Yeah, but they're not making money. Remember, we've got to build up a laboratory here on the medical campus that has never been seen before. Actually going to send us to the moon again. For the first time since
1969.
We went to the moon, right?
Yeah, they were all, and the new moon people, the Artemis people, they were all at the national championship game.
The new moon people?
Yeah, the new
What do you
astronauts.
mean?
I got on the elevator and I was like, damn, are y'all the astronauts that are going to the moon? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, yeah, it was awesome.
Did you guys talk?
I went to space camp when I was a kid. I love that stuff.
There's a plane, I think, in North Carolina that is a zero-gravity plane that you can actually
Oh,
pay.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
in Carolina,
Yeah,
right?
Vomit Comet.
Yes, that is exactly.
Yep,
I've
Vomit
looked into
Comet.
doing the Vomit Comet,
Yeah.
and I think it's in Carolina. Pretty pricey, but seemingly you get a good 45 seconds
You
to
do.
a minute
No, it's-
floating around.
No, you do. It's amazing.
Have you done it?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you vomit?
Of course you
Oh,
have.
so I flew with the Thunderbirds, who are here, by the way. They would do the Indy 500.
USA!
Yeah.
USA!
And I didn't throw up or pass out in the Thunderbirds. That's all that mattered to me. My guy Gator was amazing. The guy flew like 150 sorties over Afghanistan or whatever. But it was the greatest. But yeah, but you should do the Vomit Comet. It's totally awesome. You won't throw up. You're good. They send you a list of things to not do. Like you don't eat within a certain window and you don't eat certain things. Like if you just do all that, you're fine.
Okay.
And plus, you're
It's
a
kinda like
finely
doing
tuned
ayahuasca.
professional athlete, dude. You can do it.
No, I'm not. I'm learning that with this soccer tournament training. Last question.
Hawk could. Hawk looks like an astronaut.
Yes,
I
Hawk
did it
is still
twice.
in shape.
Did it twice, McGee. It puked at least 8 times. Both times I went up with them, McGee.
The Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels.
Thunderbirds and Blue Angels. Yeah,
Oh, you
puked
did
both
both
times.
You did the
massively
double.
puked. Yeah. I loved it. Great time, but I puked my life away.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing I ever did was flying with the Thunderbirds. Like it was.
Got daughter in South Carolina.
Dude, it was, and my wife and daughter are tired of hearing about it. I literally can't go more than a day and a half without bringing it. It was in 2019. I can't go more than a day and a half.
Have you won an Emmy? Have you ever won an Emmy before?
Yeah. Yep. And hey. College game day, y'all.
How'd it go?
How about that? How about that?
You're a part of game day too.
That's a big deal.
Hey, you're a part of game day too. I heard a lot more of your voice this year.
Yeah, I was really fortunate this year that I got to write those essays each week, and they, we had so much fun with those.
You did great.
I appreciate it.
Are you doing it again next year?
I hope so.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we won an Emmy. Don't mess with the roster, right?
Yeah, don't change the recipe.
Are y'all listening?
They're not. There's a lot of listening that should be done, but now we will listen about some hockey and what's going on. Last night, Connor McDavid had his, he's still Connor McDavid night. Not only game winner in double overtime after missing one in the first overtime, after getting a penalty in the first overtime as well. Has a nice leadership role that he's found himself in the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, a lot of people have chatted about this guy for a while, being the next one. This kid is the kid. Watch him play hockey, you'll fall in love with hockey. Last night he has an assist and a game-winning goal, even though the goalie for Dallas stood on his damn head. With a touch like that, you can't help but say to yourself, damn, this guy is a real deal. He might be the next Sidney Crosby, and damn it, if he wins, there will be a lot of weight lifted off his shoulder. Joining us now is a guy that can tell us a little bit more about the Western Conference Finals and even the Eastern Conference Finals that have Rempe benching in the healthy scratch.
Come on.
That's his Rangers team.
Yeah.
Against a physical Florida Cats. Ladies and gentlemen, PK Subban.
PK.
What's behind you there?
Tatum.
Okay.
Jake Tatum.
Hey, with the beef and broccoli, Tatum, kid. Go. Hey, Porzingis, too, with the skyhook. He's coming back. He'll be back soon.
Game 4, PK. Get pumped, brother. Come on now.
Hey,
Pacers haven't lost since what? What date was it? March 18th? That's good. To change real quick. Real quick.
Okay, PK.
Tatum.
Yeah,
Tatum.
You've been doing Tatum better than Tatum's been doing Tatum in this particular series thus far. But I do fear that he's about to go bananas. We got to call you back, PK. I mean, all your shit talk is muddying the internet.
That was the connection.
Just to be clear, too, Tatum had 36 points game 1.
Okay, but it didn't matter because nobody saw him because all anybody saw was what the Pacers did for the final 10 seconds of that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jaylen Brown hitting that corner 3 with Siakam literally.
Yeah.
How's he make that?
I have no idea.
I don't know, especially because the Pacers had 390 passes. It's like, why the hell wasn't he thinking about that?
Foul, but let's get an arm up, okay? Just don't foul.
I think he just double punch right to the chest.
Yeah, so it was that when he first got the ball, he almost he pump faked almost. So then Siakam was like, I can't foul him because then it's 3 free throws, and then he didn't shoot it, and then he reset it, and it was too late.
He's like, oh no, it's 4.
Yeah,
it's 4 points.
Now it's and 1. Yeah, exactly. Game over.
Yeah, kind of put him in a little chest, little mental, little.
Yeah, well, that's what the Celtics do. They make you think one thing, and then hey, guess what?
Oh, you guys are Shinzu all of a sudden? Shinzu's dead.
We're over here. Layup.
Shinzu's dead.
Check it out. Oh, he's not dead in the Celtics locker room. They read Art of War.
Did you know Shinzu died?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was like 5,000 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe 10.
You're thinking of a different Shinzu.
We didn't
brother.
know that.
Yeah.
No, you would be right. Yeah. I found out Shinzu was dead, and I was so bummed out.
Floored. Shook.
Everybody talks about the Art of War. They use it. I mean, Celtics. Joe Mazzulla will probably say, you got to think one thing and make them do the other. Appear strong, win weak. Appear weak, win strong. Like the Art of War changed every single competitor's mentality.
Well, Pat Riley was the guy, right? Pat Riley was the one that handed it out and made everybody read it, and they're like, "What are we doing?" And then they all ended up, now everybody reads it.
Well, the guy's dead though.
Yeah, Mazzulla talks about that though. They do actually read Art of War, the entire team. And that is something they implement with their.
Hey, Carlisle, listen, I know we don't have a lot of time for the next game. We need everybody reading Shinzu's Bible.
Respect.
Okay,
Halliburton, figuring it out.
Well, he needs.
Halliburton knows Shinzu.
He needs a left hand.
I mean, it's a hammy, right? Hammies don't just heal overnight. I feel bad for the dude. I hope he finds a way to make it work.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. Obviously, it's a bummer, but this is professional sports, and we are very deep into the season. And the way the Pacers play, there's a chance that this is going to happen to all teams. We just got to hope that Feel the Pain Bridge is loud and rowdy. And what I just got a little bit of a breaking news. I think Ryan McGee is going to be in Field of Bainbridge Fieldhouse on Saturday night.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Is that what I heard?
That's Market Square Arena, right? That's the name of it?
I appreciate your history of Indianapolis being on display.
No. Honestly, I had dinner downtown last night, and the game's on every television, and the arena's literally across the street, and everyone's mad. And then everybody just started telling old school Market Square Arena stories because they didn't want to talk about what was happening
in the present
to their team. Yeah.
But
no, I'll do it. But yeah, can I wear that? I'm going to just walk in with that helmet, like Marshmallow.
Bingo. Maybe we get you an actual marshmallow.
It's good.
It's not a bad idea.
Just to wrap up that whole conversation, as soon as I saw the head getting put on to Mr. Mello, I did think to myself, wow, what a business. You could have 4 gigs one night. You just need 4 people that look and are built similarly.
They can do this deal.
Yeah, because only one of them needs to be able to actually do it.
Push a button.
Everybody else is just marshmallow dancing. What a genius business. That was my first night. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I just woke up. Might have been a little hungover, and I look over and I see it all unfold, and I'm like, of course. What a fucking genius. What a move. That's the move. But I don't think Mello would let anybody else play his shit.
No.
Nobody else is representing Marshmallow.
Yeah, but I think also, all right, so this is me comparing myself to Marshmallow. When I was in high school, my buddy Dave and I used to DJ like middle school dances. And we'd have damn records and shit, and all the
Dave and McGee?
Yeah. So what we figured out was I was like, dude, I think I could just make a mixtape and we could just put that in and act like we're doing record. And so that's what we started doing. We just put the dance on the minute, and we're over there like we're putting needles on records and doing all that stuff.
Headphones.
Everybody's just dancing. It was just like a solid 90-minute playlist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good play.
We're like, isn't this great?
No request.
Yeah, exactly. Like, play a slow song. No way, the hell, get out of here. And we're just,
You want that next?
That's what Marshmallow is. So Marshmallow handing out, just hit this, put on your helmet, go hit this phone drive, we're good.
And we need a good, there's probably a class or two about what you're allowed to do.
How he moves.
I hope in a room like this, they're all in front of the mirror. Yeah, they're all doing the whole thing. I just hit the microphone again. Sorry, so this chair is 14 feet high. And this microphone is literally at crotch level. And Marty McGee, Marty McGee, the mic is like up here, almost in my nose. So it's just,
you can move it.
I don't want to mess with y'all's deal. So I'm just.
It's your deal. It's literally your deal.
You can lower the chair, I think, right?
But anyway, I just apologize. I apologize. I keep hitting the microphone. At this point, they're just expecting it. So
other side, that one.
Yeah, always on the right side.
You're almost.
I'll go down with you.
I'll do it to the next break in 40 minutes from now.
Oh, no, it doesn't go down.
Yeah, see, same thing. All right, we're good. We're fine. No. Now you guys are stressing out.
I'm staring at it. I'm staring at it. I haven't touched it yet. McGee just
ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a man who has ruined our show with his technical bullshit.
It's a lot like flying with the Thunderbirds right now. Yeah.
This is Siciliano here on this beautiful Feel Good Friday. Ryan McGee is above 4'8", although right now
you gotta raise it, brother.
You look so small.
You gotta go back up a little.
That's as low as it'll go. I was going to keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a guy who his technical issues, not only with his microphone but his internet, have tried to ruin our show before.
Sure.
But he's so damn electrifying. How could you not have him back on?
Amen.
Hockey expert PK Subban. Yeah, no stupid hat.
I got the Wi-Fi going.
Oh, it's in the back. Yeah.
Jay Tatum.
Portrait mode. Where are you right now?
I am in New York City. I am here for now. I'll be up in Bristol later doing the game tonight. Big one tonight at MSG.
Okay, let's talk about, so you're in New York, going to leave to the games in New York. Because we got to get to the studio. We got to do some good talking. We appreciate the coverage all year. You boys have been crushing it over there. Boys have been crushing it over there. Moose has become a friend of the program, too, which is a big development. We're very pumped about that. Let's talk about this Rangers team. So Rempe, obviously the big story going into the Florida Panthers. He hadn't played for a while, but going against Florida Panthers, a very physical team. You would think you would want the Empire State Building to be in there. He's a healthy scratch. Did Florida just out-physical this Rangers team? Is this what this is going to be? Are they just outclassing the Rangers team? And why is Rempe not on the damn ice, PK?
Okay, first to address that with the Rangers, I played for Peter Laviolette for 3 years in Nashville, and I know for him, one of the most frustrating things must have been watching his team start the game and start that series. This is not typical of a Peter Laviolette team because, in my opinion, he's probably the best motivational coach in the league. This guy gets you prepared to play in a way like no other coach. Like, you want to tear the door off the hinges, froth coming out of your mouth, knees bent. Like, that's the way he gets his teams to play every game. And I think that's why they won the President's Trophy this year, is because they were prepared to play every game. X's and O's. But for me, the start of this series had nothing to do with X's and O's. The emotion just wasn't there for the Rangers. I don't know why. Maybe it's the time off. Doesn't matter. You knew what type of fight you were getting into with the Florida Panthers. And I think as far as Rempe goes, I like the move of not playing him the first game. It's up to those guys in the locker room that have been there all year. You know, Matt Rempe's going to be a great player for the New York Rangers, hopefully for a long time. And he brings an element that they will definitely need in this playoffs. There's no doubt about it. But I like the move of giving Hedel and some of the other guys an opportunity to get into the lineup. Now, whether you bring a guy who hasn't played pretty much all playoffs and put him in there, that's another story or not. But I think holding Rempe out and giving some of the older veteran guys an opportunity to set the tone was the right move. Now you can always go back to him, and we'll see if he's in there tonight.
Okay, go ahead, AJ.
What about on the other side? What about when you look at the Panthers and you see like the stars are coming out? I mean, Kachuk, we watch everything that he does. Seems to just he's so fun to watch as well as the rest of the team. How do you think they match up in the rest of the series? And what happens if they go up 2-0 on the
Boom! Well, I'll tell you, that hit specifically right there, and I had asked a couple fans that I know, just, you know, we talk hockey all the time, and I said, have you seen Vinny Trocheck get hit that many times in one game this season? And everybody, the consensus was no. And I'm going to tell you, the Florida Panthers, they know who the star players are in the Rangers. They abused them all last game. In the first, the second, and the third, and they didn't stop. And it wasn't just on Vinny Trocheck. It was on Adam Fox as well. Trouba tried to get his physicality going. That's fine. The Florida Panthers are prepared for that. But this is what we knew was going to happen in this series. Nobody should be if anybody says they're surprised, they're fake surprised. I told you that this series would be won in front of the nets, in the corners, along the boards. I told you that the matchups would be important. I don't know if they're going to keep their deep pairings together, but they might have to shake it up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see, because that'll be the story of the series for me, is going to be what Peter Laviolette's going to do with his lineup. He's got so many weapons. I think he's going to juggle them a little bit. I would, because you definitely have to find a way. We know they're going to come out harder than they did in game one, right? They can't possibly come out flatter than they did in game one. They're going to come out with the energy, but I think matchups are going to be key. Kachuk and Barkov are a problem. They're big, they're physical, and they're skilled. They have experience. They were in the finals last year. The moment isn't going to get too big for these guys. So the Rangers got to take a look in the mirror and elevate their compete level. The emotions got to go way up. Forget the X's and O's for a second. The emotions got to go way up for the Rangers. Way, way up.
Hey, Nick, you know, I know you love the sport of hockey, hosted That's Hockey Talk, World Ball Hockey Champion. Obviously, we grew up in hockey town. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, multiple back-to-back Stanley Cup winners throughout our livelihood out there. I mean, you know, all that stuff. Whenever your star players are getting bombed on, who's normally on the roster to protect them? What is that?
Well, Pat, when you have an absolute animal that can throw bombs and throw his body around, maybe you want to get him in the lineup and have him put someone into the glass in the first row.
Maybe a little feet. I'm just.
Maybe a little grit.
I can't skate.
Maybe a little jam.
I don't know.
Sandpaper.
You know, isn't that like what hockey is? Isn't that like an entire role of what it was, especially in a self-policing sport that it is? You tell me you like the move of letting the vets and not having Rempe out there. It's like Florida Panthers liked it too. They had no fear at all of any repercussions of anything when they're going after people.
Pat, thank God I'm not a coach, because if I was the coach of the New York Rangers, I would have had these guys eating nails for breakfast, lunch, and dinner all week, getting prepared for this game. I would have been shooting pucks, having blocking shots with their faces. I would have been having them just do all-out war, dogfights in the corner, because that's what this series is going to be. Yes, the Florida Panthers got a lot of skill and talent, but you're exactly right. You got to get physical. You got to get, like, for me, you want to be the first to get to them. You don't want to you don't want to be the person reacting. You got to set the tone. And for me, coming out and punching them right in the face, you knew Florida was going to do that. To me, the Rangers, you can't afford to be on your heels. Eastern Conference Final, I don't care how good your team is, how deep your team is, every arena in this league gets smaller. The ice gets tighter. There's less time and space out there. So it's not just on Panarin and Vinny Trocheck and the stars on the team. The younger guys, Lafreniere, Hedel, if he's in the lineup, Cooley, all these guys, Jimmy Vesey, all their depth players have to bring more energy to that team. And to be honest, I'd love to pick on some guys right now, there's no one to pick on. It's their whole team. Their whole team's got to get the energy. The best player for me on their back end was Schneider. He's the only guy that played with some jump and some pizzazz and some juice. He's trying to be physical. He had the breakaway. He hit the post. Everybody's got to be pulling on the rope this time of year, and that's the only bright spot for the Rangers is that they can probably take that game, toss it in the trash. They got to bring the emotions tonight. Tonight is about energy. It's about pride. It's your building. You can't allow the Florida Panthers to walk in there and smack you around for 2 games. Can't happen.
Yeah, and, the Florida Panthers will. And when you talk about taking a game and throwing it in the trash, Pacers tried to do that for the first game, and then carried it and say they had no pizzazz or jam.
Or jam.
They had no pizzazz in game 2. That hat's not big enough for your head, so I'm okay.
Well, I just got a haircut. I'm not ruining it. Just got a tight
fresh.
haircut.
It is fresh.
Yeah.
It is very fresh. Good. You look good.
Crispy.
Yeah, crispy. It's conference finals. Got to do it. Hey, McGee, as we stay on the East, McGee's got a question for you.
Yeah, PK, you just mentioned arenas, right? And listen, I understand every arena is an arena, and you're home. But what we're sitting there talking about the Pacers this weekend and Painbridge Arena and all that stuff. What is MSG like when the games matter, and how important is that for the Rangers?
Is it the best in the league too? Is it amongst the best in the league in the NHL? Oh, hell yeah!
It's got to be the best arena in all of sports. I mean, just from the history and everything. In terms of the noise and the sound, I'm a little bit biased. Playing in Montreal at the Bell Center in the playoffs, I've never heard a sports arena that loud. We're talking about in warm-ups, pucks vibrating on the ice type of noise and energy. So crazy. But MSG, it's got to be in the top 3 of all time. And I'm going to be honest, when I watch the Rangers play, when they're playing great, it's loud in there. But when Matt Rempe's running around on that ice,
you said you liked the move.
Yeah.
You said you liked the move, and he's not on there. I will let you know as a fan of the sport.
No. Whoa. I like the move for game 1 because you got the ace of spades in your back pocket. You got that. This series is going 6 or 7.
What are we waiting for, PK? Let's win game 1. Where's Truba? Where's Truba? I thought Truba was a tough guy. Where's Truba?
No, we got time. We got time. It's the conference finals. Fuck it.
They don't care.
We don't have time.
I agree.
We don't have time.
They don't want the cup, do they, PK?
You don't want the cup. 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 That's wild. Everybody wants the damn cup.
Come on.
Everybody wants the damn cup.
You don't want Lordo?
I want the cup.
Hey, I got to be honest. If Rangers win 3-0, their power play gets 2 goals, they get an empty netter or whatever. We're not talking about
the Florida Panthers.
We're not talking about Matt Rempe. What happened? The Rangers come out, lay an absolute egg, and now everybody wants, the coach and the GM's head, they want Rempe in the lineup. You know he's going to get in there. When he gets in there, he's got to play with it. He's got to be aware because he may not cross the line and get called. I watched Florida last game impose their will all over the ice on the Rangers for 60 minutes. And I don't know, they had 2 penalties. I think they were late in the game. They were very well disciplined. So Matt Rempe, as much as I want to see him bring that energy, he's got to manage it. And trust me, I will hold the refs and the officiating accountable. If they're calling chintzy calls on him and he's playing within the lines, I'll say something. But he can't be having chicken wings. He's got to keep his arms down. He's got to play within the rules.
Little Bojangles.
Delicious, Ratchet. Come on. Let's go to the West. Obviously, last night.
I want Rempe running wild, though. I do.
Brother.
I want to see it. Sorry.
It didn't sound like you did. It didn't sound like your first answer.
I want him. I want it, okay? I want it.
They don't want the cup.
They don't want the cup at all. They just want their khakis.
Anyways, let's go to the Western. They got him. Let's go to the Western side of this entire thing. Last night, Connor McDavid, how you doing? Best player in hockey, some people think. How you doing? Assist, game winner. This is a massive game for Connor McDavid, who was on a little bit of a schneid whenever it came to scoring goals. Was obviously affecting games, and Draisaitl kind of made up for him. But last night, Connor McDavid gets a big-time win in double overtime. This is huge. Now, there's a team down in Texas, the Dallas Stars, who... were the odds-on favorite to maybe go on and win this entire thing. Gumpy has a question for you, PK.
Yeah, PK, Stu Skin kind of bounced back after being benched. Do you think he can continue this, and how many games do you think the Texas Hockey wins this series in?
Well, I said, quote, that I don't care if it's 4, 5, 6, or 7 games, the Dallas Stars will end up winning this series. So I'm not going to retract from that statement because that's how I feel about their team when they're playing their best. Yesterday, they started the game off right, and for some reason, they came out in the second period, took their foot off the gas pedal, and forgot they're in the Western Conference Final, and they're 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup Final, which you cannot do. You can't afford to do, not when you have the world's best player across the ice and possibly the second, third, or fourth best player across the ice as well in Leon Draisaitl. So I did preface my pick with this. I said, as much as Dallas could win in 4, 5, 6, or 7 games, if Connor McDavid shows up and elevates his game to not just one level, but 2 or 3 levels higher, because he has that. If he does that, now it's a coin flip. You don't know what could happen, and we saw that in Game 1. And by the way he skated and attacked the game yesterday, he hadn't done that all playoffs. Like, I don't know. I said last series against Vancouver, he had 3 assists in 6 games or something like that. And I said something like, he's got to get going. He's not attacking the defense. He's not attacking goaltenders. He's not attacking the game. It's more passive aggressive. Well, that wasn't the case last night. He wanted to be the guy last night. He wanted to be the guy to put his team over the top. And if it wasn't for Jake Ottinger, it would have happened a lot earlier in overtime. But Connor McDavid, make no doubt about it, this guy's come to play. He knows he's got to get to the Stanley Cup Final, and he's playing like it. And if he continues to play like that, they definitely can win this series. Are you kidding me? 100%. But if the Dallas Stars find their game, which I don't think they can play worse than they did yesterday, as much as everybody might think they played okay, that's not the Dallas Stars team we've seen for the first couple rounds. That's not the team we saw against Vegas.
That's not what we're banging the glass.
No.
Still should have won.
No, they should have won. But
no jubilation.
Let's see how Game 2 goes. I think Dallas has to get it. Definitely, they're banged up a little bit down the middle. They definitely they need to get healthy down the middle and get their guy back there. What's his name?
Rupe. We need Rupe back. We need Rupe. Marchment was throwing the body around last night, though. Mason Marchment's a dog.
Rupe hits. Why this guy's so key? He's so big. He's skilled, and he can skate with a guy like McDavid. Like, when you think about shutting down centermen, having him against a Draisaitl or McDavid is huge. It's massive. It's everything. So you can't lose a guy like that, but they have enough depth. So I think Dallas, they got to get healthy, get their game in order, and figure it out. But Jake Ottinger, I thought he shut the door when he needed to. What's Pat doing over there?
He's working on his dangies, bud. What do you mean? You ever seen anything like that before? Probably not.
Hot potato.
Looks like he's got a case of dangleitis.
Yeah, sorry about it, dude.
The man that wants the cup.
He's got a
It's a man that wants the cup.
And conditions are
want the cup.
I saw McDavid last night did his thing lefty. I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind deflecting a ball or two this morning. Can't skate, but the guy's
absolutely not.
Yeah,
that's not bad though. That's not bad. I could use a left-handed defenseman, honestly, in my men's league. Pat, you coming through New York anytime soon? Let's go.
Is this ball hockey or are we on ice?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you can't skate. Can you skate or no?
No, yeah, I don't do snow. Everybody, there's a lot of people new to the show that don't think that.
Right.
This guy's got to be on all the cocaine. I don't do the snow, and I don't do the ice. That isn't my thing. I'm a land animal. Or a tree animal.
Okay.
Yeah, land and trees. That's where
land and trees.
Okay,
hey, dude. Bob Marley, kid.
Hey.
Bob Marley. Whoa. You watched the movie?
Oh.
Yeah. Was that a weed? Was that a weed thing you had on the other side? Or did I see,
I'm not sure what it was. It could be. I don't know.
Was there birds? Was there a tree of them?
That's a Canadian logo, I thought.
Yeah.
Is that a maple leaf?
Canada.
That's the maple leaf.
Hey, rude boy.
Yeah, it's the maple leaf.
It's the maple leaf.
It's the maple leaf, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let that sleep, Pat. That's the maple leaf.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a nice Bumbleclot hoodie there you got. Rude boy. All right, have a good one, bro. We're out of here.
What? No.
What? Yeah. Hey, Shata, you're doing a great job. All right, I want to let you know that. You're doing a phenomenal job at what you're doing. We can't wait to watch tonight, and thank you for joining us, pal.
Thanks, guys. Love you guys. Pat.
You too.
Go Pacers.
What? No, you meant Celtics.
Whoa.
You meant Celtics.
No, I meant Pacers. Go Pacers. They're in one.
Why's you laughing?
Tatum, Jay Tatum, Jay Tatum.
Such a good move.
The reverse dunk. I don't know if I've ever seen Tatum pull off a reverse dunk.
Does McGee know how good of a basketball player PK is?
PK impersonates basketball for the last 3 weeks now that he found out that the Celtics exist, I guess. I mean, have you ever talked to that guy? Yeah. You know PK?
I don't know him, but I've talked to him.
He is electrifying.
He's amazing.
He's a man.
So I get to write, with my job, I get to write a lot of scripts that I don't voice, like other people, like opens for shows, like teases and stuff.
Really?
And so I get to write scripts for Messier and PK.
Did you do Messier's the other night?
Yeah.
That one was
awesome.
unbelievable.
Appreciate it.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So I get to. That's one of my favorite. In my previous life, when I was a TV producer, that's what I would do. I write scripts, and so I still get to do that a lot for.
So you know who you're writing for, though, right? So you're writing in their angle?
Yeah. And I did a thing for Casey Affleck a couple weeks ago that he just crushed. It was awesome.
His milk speech. He gave a good milk speech, I think, when he got an award one time.
Yeah. But I write a lot of these things.
AJ, prick.
Stop.
Shut up. We're trying to learn what he actually did.
That was Joaquin Phoenix,
that's what he wrote.
too.
That wasn't Casey Affleck.
That was Joaquin, my bad.
Yeah, he was talking about taking milk from cows.
Believe it or not, I did not write Joaquin's Oscar speech. Where it was. Yeah, I know. I should have. But so I know. So it's funny. I know a lot of people in the company that I don't really know because I'll send scripts and we'll go back and forth or whatever else. And so he's the man. He's been great.
He's electrifying.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
Great.
And he loves the sport. That's the thing too. Is I hate analysts that act like they don't want to be there. You know what I mean? Like they're getting paid and it's great, but it's kind of a hassle and they feel like they're just waiting to get on the plane.
Agreed.
But those guys are just, they're so fired up.
Screen,
oh, 100%. As a producer, it used to drive me crazy. I'm like, if you don't want to be here, we're paying you a lot of money. We could find plenty of people that will be here. But when someone really wants to be in the middle of it, you sense it. That's why Game Day is a great show because when the Game Day crew wants to be in the middle of all that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just that's why it works.
Well, that's like the football thing. I feel like it's like all those people care so much more about football than there are other sports, and it goes back to like the legacy of it and like that energy that they bring. And then you guys, I mean, we've. I almost just dropped an F-bomb, but we love football.
5 today, like 30 this week. It's been a real loose week. It's been a real loose week with this one.
It's all right.
It's the only word not allowed to say.
But you're in a church. Like that part I didn't get. Like I watch a show, I'm like, whatever, say whatever words you want to see, but you're in a church and it freaks me out a little bit.
It's a Thunderdome.
Yeah. I'm like, I got PTSD though. I grew up Southern Baptist, North Carolina.
Yeah, but these words were invented by Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he put them on my mind and my heart.
Yeah, Jesus having Christ. He said all that. That's right. Exactly right.
He actually came out
at
point guard.
Yep. Yeah.
Thought you had me, bitch. Jesus. Jesus, I mean, he would be worthy of the effing as the middle name more than anybody.
For sure.
Because when he did that rock.
Because when he did the rock. when Jesus went out and hung out with the lepers and the prostitutes and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure he probably said a bad word every day.
I bet he was just taking notes. So, okay, I guess that's where that goes.
Yeah. It was.
What? Guess where what goes.
That's how the birds and the bees story.
What do you mean?
All right, let's wrap up with some stories that we haven't talked about yet this week. Aaron Rodgers was speaking to the media. He basically said, yeah, we suck. I'm fired. Everybody's fired. Here's his quote from the press conference.
Earlier, there's pressure on all of us.
All of us, yeah.
Why do you say there's pressure on you?
Well, I think if I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though. I know it's a tough market to play in. It's not for everybody. I relish that opportunity. And that's the way the NFL is. I'm not saying anything monumental as you guys are typing away and putting your tweets out. This is how it is every single year. You might not say it, but as you get older in the league, if you don't perform, they're going to get rid of you or bring in the next guy to take over. Really? I mean, it happened in Green Bay. So, and I'm, a few years older than I was back then. So I expect to play at a high level. I expect us to be productive and competitive and all that stuff to take care of itself.
He had no Huga House hat on. He had
Right.
the
Yeah,
Jets
that was
hat
weird.
on, standard issue. That was good looking. But he did have the Thankful for the Love shirt, just letting people know, hey, we're all about love around here. He is in a point of life where he understands the pressure and he is good with it, it feels like. Has he always been this way, AJ? And did you talk about this at all at the Derby? Of course, you're going to say, no, we didn't bring up football at all, even though he's coming back after only being able to play 4 plays for a team. That entire marketing campaign, the biggest city on earth, was about him playing. We didn't talk about it at all. But how does he feel going into the season? Feels like everything is very on the up and up. And this is the type of Aaron Rodgers that normally plays very well, right? And this kind of normally the way this goes?
Yeah, kind of like, would you call it like back up against the wall? Like everything kind of rides on this season, everything going on. But what he said was very true. I mean, it's not always, people don't always say it, but yeah, hey, if he stinks and the team stinks, they're all gone. They're going to get everybody, they're going to clean house. So yeah, I think though, people like him, like, elite performers that are the top of the top, they absolutely do their best when their back is against the wall and everyone is doubting them and you can stack the chips on your shoulder, all of that stuff, I think only helps him and helps the team with motivation.
So we're getting clips too of him at OTAs, and we know OTAs have started weeks ago, but they only officially started just a couple of days ago. There's a no-look pass that he had to Xavier Gibson with a P. It was a beautiful thing. He's looking deep down the sideline, right? Nope!
What?
Nope! Seam ball.
What?
Ooh.
Finesse.
Chin strap strapped up too. That means it's a serious period.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, and he took that chin strap's already off there once that ball was caught. That thing is
right now. Took it off.
Quickly in, quickly out. He's been doing no looks, obviously, for decades in the NFL. Matthew Stafford is a guy that he also gave love to being able to do no looks around. We got a guy in Houston, Texas.
Man.
This CJ Stroud dude. This thing's a beauty, too. Yeah. Nonchalant dart, no look. This dude, I hate him.
Yeah, it's tough for you.
I've gotten to the point where I'm not.
Shouldn't be that easy.
He shouldn't be that cool. Shouldn't be that easy. Shouldn't be that good of a leader. Shouldn't have that high of football IQ.
What?
Shouldn't have a team around him that is all of a sudden great. I mean, everything, it just comes so natural. We're talking about a guy who now, Houston, Texas, if they were to go on to win, it would be obviously humongous story in this whole entire thing. But like, when you draft a guy and hope that you have a guy, it's like they got a guy. They're 1 year in and they know that they got a dude. It's phenomenal. And every video that comes out of CJ doing fucking anything, it's awesome. And it's like, I wish I had that guy as my franchise quarterback.
Well, and what's like the most absurd thing is just looking at who they were. Like Nick Caserio, we thought he was a big dumb dipshit, and turns out he's like one of the best team builders it feels like in the NFL now. Like their turnaround was so much quicker after Deshaun's, it feels like, than any other team that went through something that they did with all the drama with Bill O'Brien and him getting smacked in the teeth, and then they hire Lovey and basically say like, hey, don't forget, or Dave Coley, excuse me, hey, basically you're just a stopgap before Josh McCown gets here. So like the things that they have gone through to get to this point, and then for it to just happen overnight after, drafting CJ at 2, all that noise around CJ going into the draft, and then kind of making that absurd move back up to 3 to get Will Anderson. Like they had a plan, executed the plan, and I don't think anybody.
And it sucks.
Yeah, I don't know even if people in the Texans building were like, hey, this is going to work out this way.
And then what really pisses you off is he's like a really good guy.
Yes.
Like, at my house, we call that the Jesse Palmer rule, right? I always tell Jesse, you cannot be that good looking.
Yep.
And you can't be, starring in 17 television shows and be a really good football analyst and be this good of a guy. Like you got to pick something, And so when you meet these guys, it almost makes you mad when it's like they're that talented and everyone loves them. And then you meet him, you're like, well, the guy's got to be a jackass. And CJ Stroud is great.
Everything he does is franchise
and he's just a good dude. And that's the one thing that's changed dramatically about college football in the last 30 years is that you have to be so smart to play the game now. And I'm not, this isn't a knock on the way they played the game 30 years ago, but when I was in school.
Basic.
When I was in school, it was a very basic playbook. And now you have to play the game at such an intellectual level, at the highest level, that all these guys are so smart and they're just, they get it. It's that phrase we always use, get it. And CJ gets it. All these guys that have been coming out the last several years, they get it. They just understand. And it just makes you mad because you're like, you can't be this cool and be this good and then also be really nice.
And
pick
handsome,
one.
and everybody likes
pick
him.
one and be awful at that.
I mean, and funny. He's a good person. He
Yeah.
shit talks well.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
everything
Great.
he does screams franchise quarterback. And you talk about him being so smart because of the defenses in football now in college. He gave a lot of credit to Ryan Day and how they come out of a huddle and he has to break down defense. He has to do this entire thing for his transition. Greatest rookie year in the history. Didn't throw his first pick for like 8 weeks or 9 weeks or something. He didn't even get kind of confused by it. Another thing to add in about the modern world, and I think this should be chatted about because it is kind of slammed a lot. The NIL thing, for him having a deal with like Mercedes, I think he had a G-Wagon and had some money. Having to deal with money too, and like people around you, whenever you get money before getting into the NFL, like you mature that way as well. Now, it's not always going to mature in a good way. There's going to be a lot of bad shit that's going to come from that. But for like CJ, it's like, it feels like off the field, he's had to mature a lot because of everything that's going on. Business-wise, he had to mature a lot because he was the first group that NIL was allowed to kind of happen. And then football-wise, they wanted his ass run out of Ohio. He's like calloused too. He's the guy. He's in the AFC South. It's great.
You also pair that, and when I saw that video, I was like, oh yeah, Robert Woods is like their 5th or 6th weapon on this team behind Nico and Diggs and Tank Dell and
Okay,
Schultz.
a lot of weapons, and they got Joe Mixon.
Two really good tackles.
Yeah. That doesn't scare me though. Remember,
defense is great.
That doesn't scare me because the Indianapolis Colts we got Shane Steichen. We got a lot of weapons. Yeah. We got a defense back. And we also got this guy. This video was released by the Colts, and it got me excited. Remember, Anthony Richardson is the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. His rookie campaign was stopped incredibly short, but it was certainly full of electricity. He's live from the Thunderdome. Wow. Monday, June 3rd.
Yeah. What?
In that seat. In that seat.
A little taller.
Dude. In this seat right here.
Right, yeah.
And what you talk. So we're fortunate with Marty McGee. We go to SEC Media Days, and we spend 4 days interviewing every coach in the league. In the last couple of years, they've mixed in players. And AR is one of my favorite guys we've ever sat down with.
How come?
He just, again, he gets it. He's just smart. And he was, a lot of the stuff that he said about, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, came off in print or on Twitter.
Oh, no context or something?
No, like arrogant, right? Like, but that's just there's that fine line between confidence and being arrogant. But after I chatted with him and after I saw him the way he could play, after I went to practice, he played great in game. After I saw him practice, I was like, well, he could do this. But you're going to like him. He's so sharp.
Okay. I liked what I saw. I mean, he had a rushing touchdown every game he played, and then he had a couple passing touchdowns. He was breaking rookie records, and it all ended 5 games in.
Yeah, new clips, though, to A.D. Mitchell as well, coming out of him, just tossing darts to him.
Yeah, the throwing motion seems to be all the way. He's always had just the flip of the wrist, you know. It's the issue is, can he survive? And there was a couple times where he got banged up, and then he would clear test a couple days later, but he would end that game early. Then the next game he'd come in, he'd take a massive shot somehow. We'd think he was down to get back up, then he'd throw a touchdown. Inevitably, he gets knocked out while scoring a touchdown against the Houston Texans, literally just kind of let up and got murdered and hit his head. It's like he, I think, is going to be able to learn from all that and kind of be a guy this year for us because everything I saw when he was on the field was beautiful. And that guy, AD, has got an axe to grind about not being higher talked about, I think, in the wide receiver draft this year. And then we sign all our veterans back. Joe Flacco's in the quarterback room. I mean, it feels like we're eyeing a potential great season 2 for AR. Can't wait to ask him that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about Flacco, obviously, because of what he did last year. But I think it's like not that Gardner Minshew wasn't a great mentor, but the amount of stuff that he can learn from Joe Flacco and like the scope of an entire offseason, like I would assume that's going to work wonders for like how different he's going to be as a quarterback this year.
Yeah, instead of doing this, let's just try this out.
Right.
Instead, maybe it'll keep us safe. Let's do some more rookies and NFL chatter. Marvin Harrison Jr. has officially signed his contract with the Arizona Cardinals.
Nice.
That was released via the Arizona Cardinals social media team. He went in there with Monty. He signed here, initial here. Didn't look at the contract. Don't love that, but because that could have been a situation that happened with the Fanatics, but his people did, obviously. He was just coming in there for a celebratorial autograph session. Autographs are obviously a part of the entire thing with him,
correct,
the NFLPA and the Fanatics, so it was a beautiful thing. His jerseys are for sale now because I guess whenever you sign your rookie deal, joining the NFLPA's membership is a part of that, which we can have a conversation at a different time about whether or not that's the right move or not. I don't love it. I don't love it, but I appreciate that is how it all works out. I think people should be able to make their own decisions with what's going on with their shit, but especially in the modern world that we're in. NFLPA, very important. You guys do great work. You guys do great work. You guys do great work. But the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing is seemingly off and running in Arizona, and that's obviously good for Kyler Murray and the boys down in the desert.
Yeah, of course, Kyler Murray has to be excited. But what if you? I don't really like to predict things. What kind of year can you predict? Let's say Marvin stays healthy, plays the majority of the games.
Kyler stays healthy as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing group practice with the Colts this summer.
Ooh,
Training
nice.
camp. So I think the Cardinals and the Colts. I would assume it's here, yeah, because you don't want to be in the desert probably during that time.
Is the game here? Is the preseason game here?
That's good. We can look for that. That's a good question, actually. We will check that. If Kyler can stay healthy and they can kind of get into their offense, it's here. Okay, so yeah, we will certainly be attempting to do a show there for that particular electricity. But if Kyler plays and there's like some continuity with the offense and a new thing, I think he'll be a guy third down. I think he's going to be the guy that Kyler's going to go to whenever they need it, a possession receiver. And also, he can go on people's heads too. He didn't run a 40. People say he can't pull away from anybody, but his catch radius is gigantic, and he's been able to just catch balls since literally stepped foot on Ohio State's campus. And we've been told his work ethic is absurd.
It's ridiculous.
I think he's going to be phenomenal. McGee, I assume you think the same thing.
Yeah, no, I went up there last year, not in 2024, but 2023, and I spent like a day with those receivers. And Harrison was kind of the junior guy in the room, and even the juniors and seniors were like, he's the guy. Like he was already, and he knows how to carry himself. And there's something to be said for knowing that locker room. I mean, we see it with Mahomes. It's just knowing how to navigate the life, right? And he does. And I love the fact, by the way, that he's coming in Indianapolis, in the preseason. That's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And I also love that he wears Harrison Jr. It's a nod to his dad. And his dad was very careful about kind of staying out of the way and not being around a lot publicly when he was in Columbus. And but when you talk to the dad, the work ethic that he's learned and the routes that he runs, man, are video game routes. Yep. I mean, it's just he's never a step off.
Agreed. And AJ and the Ohio State Buckeyes got to enjoy that for a few years. They thought maybe he was going to come back.
Yeah, no way.
Instead, now he's officially a Cardinal. Have an incredible weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday. We're watching races. We're watching finals.
Right.
And we're lucky as hell to do this. We appreciate you. Be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. Goodbye. Right on the screws.
Yep. Bang.
Nice.
Dinger. Did you see that, McGee?
I did see that.
5300 over here, 05 over here. 5 seconds difference.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
We are still live on ESPN Plus, YouTube, and TikTok.
I got you. No, so Marty McGee, we have these weird, at the top and bottom of the hours, we have these 2-minute TV-only segments. And
because you guys are on radio as well?
We're on radio as well. We simulcast SEC Network on ESPN Radio Saturday morning, by the way, 7 a.m. And I do a terrible job of knowing when we're not on radio. And I go blowing in. We're brought to you by so and so and so and so. And they go, no, it's TV only. Oh, sorry. And as a former producer, it's embarrassing, but whatever. So I'm a former producer.
TV radio is tough.
Yeah.
Two different clocks.
Oh, yeah.
And the floating breaks don't matter for the TV, but the floating breaks work for radio. We had to do it a little bit, but it was not a desired situation.
It's math. And when you introduce math into the deal, McGee struggles.
Well, we just completely eliminated it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
Forget about it.
You got one hard out at the first hour. We got one at the second hour.
Oh, yeah.
Then we're off and running. Only have 2 a day. Miss one. Daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's why we got stuff on here.
You've been awesome.
It's been so much fun. It is, and I was a little quiet at first. It is like an out-of-body experience. You guys don't understand. I watch every day. And so being here, it is literally through the looking glass. Like, I'm not looking this way, I'm looking that way. And it's just trip. It's just, I love you guys. I always feel like there's kind of been an unofficial kind of DNA connection between what you guys do. And so it's been amazing sitting here.
Okay, so let's talk about you're embedded with Kyle Larson this weekend again. We talked about top of the hour, maybe some new people, but also I would like to dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it might rain.
Yeah, it's going to rain. It's just a question of
it's going to rain.
Yeah,
Indiana weather though.
Well, that's just it. We were talking during the bathroom break. We were talking about the fact that I believe it was 2019, and the forecast is the worst forecast I've ever seen for an Indy 500. It was the most beautiful day we ever had. It was cold and rainy that morning, and then by noon, green flag's 12:45. By the time we got to it, the forecast 3 or 4 days ago on your iPhone, it shows the bar graph of when it's going to rain.
Yeah.
And at 12:30, It was like standing at attention. And I was like, damn it. But that's changed now. And so the question for Kyle Larson is there's going to be a window where he's going to have to make a decision. So if this thing, if the rain
down to 4.
What do you mean here? Because Kyle Larson, for those that don't know, he's racing the Indy 500 in the afternoon, and then he's traveling to Charlotte to do the Coca-Cola 600, the NASCAR race. He's doing a double, 1,100 miles.
Right, and it's only 4 guys have ever pulled it off before. The late great John Andretti did it in 1994, and then everybody's like, well, no one will ever do it again. And then Tony Stewart did it twice.
Smoke.
And Smoke finished he's the only one to finish all 1,100 miles. I was with him because I've been around a minute. Robbie Gordon did it a couple times and tried to do it 3 other times, and the rain screwed it up. And then Kurt Busch did it in 2014. And so it's only happened a handful of times. The schedule didn't work out for years. The Indy moved to start later and Charlotte. But anyway, the point is the rain is going to be the story. And so there's going to be a window where Kyle Larson is going to have to make a decision. Do I stay here because I think they might run this race, or do I bail and go to Charlotte because that's my day job? And his NASCAR boss, Rick Hendrick, and Jeff Gordon, who is also his NASCAR boss, they'll be here. And so they'll all circle up and they'll make a decision. I personally believe Kyle's going to stay regardless because he's already won 2 races. So that means he's clinched the spot in NASCAR's postseason. If he misses a race, he'll have to file paperwork with NASCAR for a waiver. I don't think NASCAR is going to keep him out of the postseason. Their biggest star.
Yeah, this is good for NASCAR too, marketing.
And that's what's changed is back in the day, Indy didn't want to cooperate with NASCAR, and NASCAR didn't want to cooperate. And now everybody understands.
F1's the enemy.
Yeah. And now everybody understands that if we play ball, we can all benefit from this.
Can he come back?
Yeah.
Like, say he does leave and races Sunday night, can he just hop on a plane and then come back and race Monday?
Yes. So if it rains, what Kyle's going to want is that if it's raining on Sunday and it's raining until like 3 or 4 o'clock, he wants it to just rain and it just rain all night. Because what you don't want, this happened to Robbie Gordon one time when I was with him. Robbie made the call. Indy goes, hey, we don't think we're going to get this in tonight. So Robbie jumped on a plane and went to Charlotte, and just about the time he got in the car in Charlotte, they restarted the Indy 500. And so that's what you don't want. So, and Kyle said this to me yesterday. If it starts raining, I just want it to rain because he'll come back on Monday and then run
That's
this race.
the plan. If it gets canceled on Sunday, it'll be on Monday.
Yeah, it'll be on Monday. Yeah.
Does,
and the forecast looks a lot better on Monday.
Does each team, Indy and NASCAR, have backup drivers ready to go depending on his decision?
Yeah. And so Tony Kanaan, Indy legend, one of my favorite athletes I've ever covered in my life. TK was on hold to be Kyle Larson's sub. He can't do that. IndyCar has new rules now. So the guy that just missed out on making the race, he'll move into that spot into the car. But at Charlotte, he has Kevin Harvick.
In Kyle's car or
in the Kyle's car, yes.
Gotcha.
But in Charlotte,
that rookie kid's going to get Kyle's car.
Well, it's weird. Like it'll be his car, but it'll have the number. But in Charlotte, he's got Kevin Harvick.
No, who's getting the car? He would get Kyle's car?
Yeah.
Or he would take his car.
We just learned all this yesterday.
The car that qualified fifth.
The car that qualified fifth.
Okay.
This rookie's going to get the drive?
Yeah, but he won't. Yeah. That's not going. They're going to. I'm telling you, Kyle Larson's going to run both races. They're going to figure out how to do it because I really believe that if it gets delayed on Sunday, Kyle's going to stay in Indianapolis. I think he knows this is the only time he's going to run this race, and he's wanted to run it. He came up through open wheel racing. This is what he's always wanted to do.
Yeah, I guess he was doing some sprint car racing.
That was his background.
Last Tuesday.
Yeah.
In Indiana.
He races 2 or 3 nights a week. Like during all year long. Like he'll race 4 times a week.
This guy's a dog.
The sprint car, he's got to be.
He's old school. He's AJ Foyt, Mario.
Yeah.
He's Tony Stewart. he jumps. He jumps from
a little too old.
Yeah, he's got to be great. To still be be who you can afford to be. Obviously, that whole thing. But
Kevin Harvick is standing by in Charlotte.
Gotcha.
So Harvick retired and is in the booth now for Fox.
Should be Jeff Gordon standing.
And
well, he's here.
I know.
Jeff's like, I'm good. Jeff's done racing.
I want to get back to Kyle Larson with the sprint car though. They said he was racing down here in Southern Indiana.
Yeah.
He was sprint car's the most dangerous.
He flipped it.
Yeah. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So sprint car's the one on with it's got like a little crunch thing. You see it's got like a little triangle top, big fat ass back, and they're drifting that thing.
That's dirt, right?
Dirt racing, yeah. The sprint car. Do they do it on cement too?
And they do some on asphalt, but most of it's on. And here where you guys are, if we got in my rental car and drove 15 minutes in any direction, there's a dirt track.
Yes, Anderson has a great one. There's one in Southern Indiana that's big. There's Southeast Indiana's obviously.
Anderson's legendary.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And so
they race school buses in figure 8 races.
Well, that's why they love him is because he's old school. He's a throwback, And that's why. So it was funny. I was talking to some of my friends that work for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of their friends who are dirt track snobs, they don't believe in IndyCar, NASCAR, or whatever. They think the real racing is at Anderson,
That's out here.
Columbus, and all that. But they're all coming to the race because they love Kyle. And a lot of IndyCar people, there's a 3:30 flight and a 6:30 flight to Charlotte, and those things are full because race fans are trying to get from Indy to Charlotte. Because they want to see Kyle run both races.
Has he always been the guy? Like, is Kyle Larson someone who obviously doesn't follow racing that close? Like when he was like 16 or 17, did people know like, hey, this is gonna be the guy in racing in the next 10, 15 years?
Marty and I were talking about this on our show the other day. Is our whole careers we've been hearing about these guys forever. Oh, this is the next guy.
Yeah,
and it almost never works out. I mean, just like the kid that you hear about in the 11th grade, and he's going to be the next, Aaron Rodgers, and it doesn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
But Kyle, we started hearing about out of Northern California, and then he came to the Midwest and started racing. We started hearing about him when he was 15, and everybody kind of anointed him as the next guy, and he's done it. The team he broke in with in Cup Series racing just wasn't great. It was okay. He was a Chip Ganassi. They were fine, but they weren't. He's like, man, if I could just get to a Hendrick Motorsports. And as soon as he got there, he just started winning. So he's really, really good.
How many Chili Cups you got?
He's got the Chili Bowl.
There it is.
Yeah, the Chili Bowl.
Summerfest.
The Chili Bowl in Tulsa, and it's he's won it multiple times.
That's where the spring, I think, right?
Yeah, and that's the one that's indoor in the winter
Tulsa.
time.
And I've heard
Yeah.
it is
It's crazy.
Hey, they get after it.
It's crazy, and you have a headache for 2 weeks.
They get after it.
They run the damn thing. They run it indoors. And between the noise and the carbon monoxide, you have a headache for like a month.
And the booze, right?
Yeah.
From what I've been told.
And that too.
Yeah, because there's a lot of sprint car fans here in Indiana and I've gone to a lot of these.
Yep.
I would say like 10. I've gone to 10 of these things.
Yeah.
Great parties.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, great. They are.
Just ripping it.
Good time. Country fucks now.
Yep.
You're talking because they're all building their own engines.
So real moonshine.
And they all build. Well, it's cool because, and you guys know this about me. My favorite sporting events are like this College World Series. Marty every year goes to Kentucky Derby, but I know Hawk was there, but it's the events that belong to the city. Like you can't imagine the Rose Bowl without Pasadena and vice versa. You can't imagine, Augusta and the Masters being a part, Omaha and the College World Series. And my favorite part is riding around the neighborhoods because these sporting facilities are just dropped into these neighborhoods because they were built 100 years ago. And in Indy, you go through all the streets and you got people who have parked in these people's yards for 40 years. And people put kids through college, and it's all these sprint car racers. Like literally, they open their garages up, and you'll go through race day. I'll drive it through there at 5:15 in the morning, and they'll be opening up their garage doors, and they'll all have sprint cars sitting in the neighborhood that they're working on, and then going and racing on the weekends. It's it's like Indiana with basketball is Indiana with basketball. But for me, as a motorsports fan, Indiana has always been that, which is it's all these dirt track.
Yes. In between races, too, they're fixing their engine. I mean, it's like a full-on.
They are the mechanic as well for their cars that they're driving.
And these, we're not talking about just like, go in the garage like you're Tim Allen. We're talking about like the investment that these farmers and shit put into building their own engines. I mean,
it's a 750 horsepower engine. In what's basically a damn go-kart. Yeah, and then you see like with Kyle, they're always flipping out of the racetrack. And
dangerous.
But they love it, man. And that's where AJ and Mario and Parnelli Jones
Smoke,
and
right?
Jeff Gordon and Smoke, all these guys all started doing that.
Dale.
So, Dale.
Yep. With Kyle, I think a lot of people, at least casual race fans, were pretty surprised at how well he qualified.
So good.
Realistically, what are the chances that he contends to win the 500 if the weather holds up and he is able to race?
I saw Tony Stewart a month ago at Tony Stewart's drag racing now. He's in NHRA.
Yeah.
I saw Tony.
He's racing this thing actually.
There you go.
If you want to see his car,
there you go. That's it.
Exact model.
Stop by here and gave us
the exact model that he is racing right now.
He's also racing go-karts in our parking lot.
Yep. Get under the
He was
hood.
really good. He beat us.
He's the man. I asked Tony. I said, be honest with me, and he said he could win. He could definitely win one of the two, and he goes, and with a little bit of luck, he could win both. And I go, so he can contend in the Indy 500. He absolutely can. He's with a car, and Arrow McLaren is really good. They have a full-time pit crew. It's not a bunch of part-time jacks that show up, that a lot of these guys deal with. So he could do it.
Has anyone ever done it, or would this be like, hey, this is the biggest thing that a racer
No one's ever won. No one that's attempted the double has ever won both.
Someone has won one of them.
Yeah, and someone has won like Tony Stewart finished. He finished all 1,100 miles, and he finished in the top 10 in both races twice. And Kurt Busch had a chance to do it. But a lot of guys have finished in the top 10 and won. Like Robbie Gordon multiple times finished in the top 10 in Indy but didn't at Charlotte, or finished the top 10 at Charlotte but didn't at Indy.
Indy, you got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, you got to get lucky.
You just got to be in position at the end.
Got to survive.
Yeah, you got to survive. And the way those races work now, it used to be 2 guys in contention with 10 laps to go, and now it is like a video game. It's crazy. It's awesome, but if you're in that top 10 with 15 laps to go, you got a chance.
Yeah, but if you're in the middle, there's a chance you can eat some real shit.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's when like the 4 wide photos that we see. It's like all those guys are in it, and then all of a sudden they're 4 wide. Those photos are nuts because
they're doing 200.
Yeah, exactly. You can't comprehend how fast they're going by looking at them when they're all just next to each other.
Until they go to make a pass,
frame.
and they go from here to 50 yards up the track in like that.
Yeah.
Well, they also have that push to pass.
Push to pass.
That's a whole other deal. So that's what's so striking about it, and that's why Danica Patrick, it took her so long to get used to stock cars, and it's why Jimmy Johnson struggled in Indy cars, because when you're going to make a pass in a stock car, NASCAR, you're working on that for 3 or 4 laps. All right, you're building momentum, make a move, and in Indy car, you just go beep, 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 and you're gone. And so it's just the way it's Days of Thunder. Everybody bangs on Days of Thunder, but when he says, "All right, tires are twice as big and the car's half as small," and in stock cars half as small, or tires are tiny and the car's big. And
But you can bang in NASCAR though a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Racing.
IndyCar, you can't be banging that much.
No.
Oh yeah, that'll send you to the sky.
Yes, it will. I've been to races where guys went into the sky.
Scott Dixon just a few years back, he's like one of the best ever. He was first turn going into the first turn.
Yeah, that's the biggest change in motorsports in my career has been when Dixon had his crash, and my family was here. When Dixon had his crash, your first reaction is, not that he's dead. Whereas back in the day, though, man, in the '90s, I almost quit because when I started covering motorsports in the '90s, I was covering funerals all the damn time, all the time. And it was just.
It was Earnhardt, right? That changes. I remember watching this documentary. You were a part of that.
You wrote it, right?
With the neck thing, the strap,
the
helmet.
Yep.
Yeah, you did the whole documentary on that.
Yeah, we did E60 special on it. Yep. No one's died since February 18th, 2001 in NASCAR. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And in IndyCar last year, a lot of people forget this. Big thing we had I was at an IndyCar race in Charlotte where a tire went on into the stands and killed fans. I was at a race in Michigan where it happened. Last year,
missed.
I was talking to some of the folks last year. That was the worst I had felt in my stomach in 20 years because that tire went through the stands and everybody hit a car in the parking lot. 20 feet that way, 20 feet that way.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole different thing.
From the angle in which it was flying.
Yep.
You thought that. I mean, what a.
But
very lucky.
Yeah. Very.
But that happened a lot in the '90s, and then they fixed it. And so when it happened, it was so shocking because it just doesn't happen anymore. And they've made changes to fix that too.
It's a big racing week. You're gonna watch F1 in Monaco Sunday morning.
Yeah, we'll watch. It's cool because I'll be at the racetrack really early. The cannonball goes off at 6 a.m. I'll be in the media center. We'll do Sports Center, and then they'll have Monaco on the TVs and the.
So you're not going to be able to stay for the Pacers game long on Saturday early morning.
I will not be staying up late. No.
Come on, you can stay until 11.
Yeah, but I will not be going out afterwards. Just for the record.
Oh yeah, me neither, buddy.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
I may or may not have already received a text from my house that said, "Okay, remember you have to get up in the morning."
That's very nice.
Yeah,
that's a good reminder.
She's looking out for me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, AJ.
I've made that.
Mickey, what are your thoughts on F1? What's everyone around NASCAR and people that you hang out with? What are their thoughts on the F1 situation?
It's interesting because I was talking to Kevin Harvick about this. They get a little jealous because the success that F1's had image-wise because of the Netflix show and all that. Problem is the races are awful.
Yeah, they're the worst.
They're the worst.
So bad.
And so it's always, but it's kind of always been this way. Like the drama from Monday to Saturday is what everybody talks about, and the race itself is not ever very good. And so they're kind of at a peak right now, where they got to the racing's got to get a little bit better, and some other people got to start winning races.
How does it get better?
They've got
Monaco is this wide.
Yeah, the tracks are all so
well,
tight.
Monaco's Monaco.
Is there a Super Bowl?
Right. Monaco is like when when they play the Major League Baseball game in a cornfield, right? You just roll.
Field of Dreams. That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Cornfield?
It was awesome, but like NASCAR race at North Wilkesboro last weekend, the race was awful. But they're at North Wilkesboro. That place was closed for 30 years. So for Monaco's different, but the rest of it, they have to figure out a way.
Will Vanderstappen come over and do the Indy 500 at any point, or even do like a Coca-Cola 600 or a Dega, or is he he's a strictly
F1 guy, and his dad was strictly an F1 guy. I think that Max would run Indy at some point. What Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton has said he'd love to come run Indy, but it scares them.
Wasn't he here?
Yeah.
He was here, and he didn't qualify.
No, he didn't try to make the race. He just was knocking around.
Oh, okay.
But it scares them to death because it's just so different than what they're
240 miles an hour.
Yeah, they actually have to race people,
right?
too.
And they hit when they hit the wall, they hit hard, and so it scares those guys. But when Fernando Alonso did it, he loved it and told everybody he loved it. And so I think we'll see some of those guys.
Will Kyle ever get to race F1?
Ooh.
They don't really like Americans.
Yeah, any Americans? Are we gonna get a team?
Yeah.
Isn't there someone trying to get
Mario Andretti?
Trying to do a team just down the road.
Antitrust lawsuit. He's filing against them.
Good. They just broke ground on the $200 million building, which is right down the street from my house.
Yeah, they're trying to do it. I think they will eventually. F1 is owned by an American company. By Liberty Media.
Of course we do.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
And we love them. But at some point they want the Andrettis in there, but everybody else has to vote for it. They don't like the history. The history is what it is. They don't really like Americans coming over there. They don't like American teams.
Yeah, they like this when we saved them.
They do that. Well, that's a whole different.
But they'll race
discussion.
here. They'll race here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll take.
They don't mind rolling in and taking the money.
Yeah, the soccer leagues are like that too. You're only allowed a certain amount of Americans on the team, and
then when they go over there, they bench them like Pulisic and Chelsea.
Bingo! Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're the assholes there. Remember?
But there is that's a
USA,
real thing.
USA.
Yeah. I got my Captain America ring and socks on.
And I saw your Captain America tag on your backpack.
I love America.
Hell, how could you not?
I heard that ring.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't, but God bless it.
I love America, but that's that whole thing. That bias is real. And for Michael, it's personal because Michael Andretti went to Formula One for a minute and drove for a McLaren, drove for a big team, and kind of got put in crappy cars. And he's always believed that he was never given a fair shake. So this is all very, very personal for Michael. And so he wants to make that work.
And the Italians, whenever there's like a potential spite, there's a chance.
Hold on.
There was Jacques Villeneuve.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, Jacques Villeneuve won both. Jacques Villeneuve was won Pablo Montoya. Won the Indy 500 twice and had a lot of success.
He drive the Valvoline 28.
He did.
Yeah.
What's your favorite car? What's it called? The stuff on the car?
Like the paint scheme?
Yeah, but it's called
the livery. They call it
livery.
The greatest looking race car of all time was Richard Petty's 1973 Racer's Edge STP.
Need a photo of that now.
1973.
It is a beautiful car, but there is one answer.
Sure, it's not that guy right there.
And that's the DuPont 24.
Well, I don't know.
It's not the DuPont 24, but the DuPont 24 was an important paint scheme, and it was great. But it was, but
what about the old 3?
What about the Intimidator?
Oh, the Intimidator is great. Well, you know what Earnhardt did? I don't have a lot of die casts, but I do have. Earnhardt had a '96 Olympics paint scheme that he ran that was amazing. But I got some diecast at home. But my all-time STP 43.
What's the diecast?
The diecast is that right there. See that like that Earnhardt car he's got right there.
That's diecast.
You call it a
Model
diecast. Yeah, we just call it just a toy car. We call it diecast.
Classic diecast.
How would you spell diecast there?
DIE cast. CAST.
Just rest in peace, the 3, obviously. If he was alive, would it be a diecast still or?
Oh no, Richard Petty Dale Earnhardt made so much money. So Richard Childress, who owned Richard Petty's, Dale Earnhardt's car. I was a Richard Petty fan, by the way.
Sound like he's the best car.
But Richard Childress, one time, he and I were out in Montana at his house that is like a damn cruise ship parked up in the mountains.
Love that.
And I go, man, how'd you pay for this? He goes, little bitty 3 cars. And then the helicopter came to pick us up. He goes, you know how I bought that helicopter? I said, little bitty 3 cars. He goes, and the plane we're about to get on, I bought that with little bitty 3 cars. And that's what he's talking about.
Well, I'm happy we can help.
Yeah, they made so much money, man, back in the 90s and the 2000s, that stuff.
I just watched a a video showed up in my algorithm about how much money they were making off of CDs back in the 90s.
Oh.
They're like, it was just printing money.
Yeah.
They're talking about 700 million, like the amount of CDs that were just like sold back in the 90s, and then everything just kind of flips on its head. Is merch and everything still a massive piece of the business or no?
Not like it was.
No.
And those guys, you talking about Gordon, that's where Gordon made all of his money, was merch. And they just don't make any money off of it anymore.
Tone's still wearing a shirt.
Yeah, that was that color scheme, like
he was
you
my
said.
guy
important.
growing up. I mean,
The Rainbow Warriors. Yeah. And he grew up right around here. Well, he was born in California, but Jeff grew up right around here, north of Indianapolis.
late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Moved here because in California you couldn't race sprint cars until you turned 16, but in Indiana you could when you were like 8. And so his dad moved him.
Indiana said, we don't give a shit. You want to put in one of those
We
death
don't-
machines? Go
we
ahead.
don't care.
Go ahead.
You want to go fast?
Yeah,
Jeff's out here beating 50-year-old plumbers, and they were getting pissed. And
Dude, I've never been driven one because there was one person that like offered up and I couldn't get in. I was too.
So when you played, but did you play in Charlotte in a bowl game? Did you play in the Meineke Car Care Bowl?
Yeah, against North Carolina.
Yeah, I remember that. I was at that game.
Yeah.
But y'all didn't do the thing where you went to the Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Oh yeah,
You did
sat in NASCAR.
You did the ride along.
Yeah, we did that at 7:30 a.m. after a 3:30 a.m. night.
Yeah. But it was awesome though, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I went from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s bar, downtown Charlotte,
Whiskey River.
Whiskey River, shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
We all shut it down. Then we walked across the thing to our hotel,
Right.
Because that place was there was a Howl at the Moon on top.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then there was Whiskey River,
Still there.
and then there's a bridge that goes right to the hotel we were staying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we shut that whole place down, had a blast, and then 7:45 a.m., 175 miles an hour.
Yeah. But it changes the way you look at it, though, doesn't it?
yeah,
what I always say is, but people that kind of try to say, "Oh, they're just driving cars," where you get a ride along in a stock car, Indy car, whatever, you just like, okay, never mind.
Well, especially an oval track, right? Because you're on the passenger side.
Yeah.
So you're even
Not far
closer
from
to
the
the wall.
Yeah.
I drove pace car for a Grand Prix here.
Yeah. How was that?
I think I hit the line pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Line Dyke.
Ari Lindyke.
He was my coach. He
Yeah.
had the fastest time qualifying round in the Indy 500 history. They called him.
Yeah.
I think that was his thing until I think Scott McLaughlin just got it
Yep.
34 or whatever. But yeah, he was my coach, and I was in the Chevrolet Z16. I forget the whole thing. Won like 100 and I forget that. I was going
Take a high line or
It was
a
like
low
Corvette?
line?
Yeah, Corvette. It was nice.
CN6 probably.
If you don't get in the line, you're hitting the marbles, and you can feel yourself hitting the marbles.
Yeah.
So you need to be in the line. But that wasn't an oval track.
Yeah,
so
you
that
were-
was
you were on the road course.
That was a lot of moves, like 13 turns or something. I tried to memorize overnight or whatever it is. But that oval thing, whenever they're flat and you're just sitting there right next to the wall, I mean, it's
and at Charlotte, you're bouncing.
when also
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
like you're fucking sideways. That's
Yeah.
a wild thing.
All right,
It's a
so
wild thing.
if I got a second, I'll tell you an Ari Lindyke story.
Absolutely.
So
Nobody really knows him, but we will.
No,
now.
son.
So
Bastard.
Ari won 2 Indy 500s, should have won 4. But Ari in the late 90s, they used to run a series called IROC. It was the International Race of Champions, and it was stock cars. They were all built by the same garage. Like the idea was, these are all identical cars, and they would get drivers from all these different series. It'd be Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi versus Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Steve Kinzer, and all these guys.
That's genius.
The racing championship.
Yeah, they should bring that
The
back.
Champions League.
Yeah.
We would like to start that again.
It was brilliant.
In the parking lot.
They had
Go-kart.
So they ran the IROC race ahead of the Brickyard 400, which is the NASCAR, the stock car race they run on the oval down here. And Ari had one of the most god awful crashes I've ever seen. And he got turned coming off of 4, and he hit the inside wall, and it literally just ripped this. It was a Pontiac Firebird, just ripped the car to shreds. I mean, and it was horrifying. And so I am a field producer for the late great RPM Tonight on ESPN2. And now my job is I get a camera guy, and we got to go down to the infield care center, the infield hospital. And we're waiting for the ambulance. And the crowd is falling completely silent. And someone comes over the radio and says, "It's dead, it's dead." And one of the local television stations cuts into their local, like they're showing, Andy Griffith or whatever, and they cut in and they go, "Hey, Ari Lindyke's been in a terrible crash. We have overheard radio transmission. We believe Ari Lindyke is dead." Bristol, Connecticut, ESPN News Desk picks this up. So now they call our office in the infield, our production office, and they say, "Hey, a local TV station is reporting that Ari Lindyke is dead." So our boss, the late great Barry Sachs, gets on the radio and he says, McGee, a local TV station is reporting Ari Leyendyke is dead. Can you confirm that? And the ambulance backs up, doors open. Ari Leyendyke gets out of the ambulance. And I go, hang on, Barry. I go, Ari, are you dead? And he goes, I am not dead. And he walked past and I go, Ari Leyendyke is not dead. And the assignment desk cadet go, are you sure? I go, I'm pretty sure. yeah. But I thought he was dead. But he was not. But Ari's the best, dude. And then his son was like the Bachelor.
He was, yeah.
So his son, I don't think is good of a.
He wasn't. No.
Has there been a lot of kids that have followed in the footsteps that have been good racers?
Yeah, it's been a struggle. Like so, Dale Jr. Won like 26 Cup races. A couple Daytona 500s. Is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame and should be. But, he was never going to be his dad.
No.
How could he? If he'd have won 3 championships, he was going to be his dad. So there's a lot of pressure on those guys. But there's a lot of second. Like Kyle Petty, my great friend, and broadcaster, and Kyle's the son of Richard Petty. Richard Petty won 200 races and 7 championships. He won 7 Daytona 500s. If Kyle had won 50 races, he wouldn't have been close to that. And Kyle had a nice run. But Kyle laughs about it. But just the pressure of falling on his foot. Talking about Bronny James, I think about that all the time with those guys. Michael Jordan's sons, right? Mickey Mantle's boys.
Tough breakup,
right? Yeah. It's just it's a tough it's a tough way to follow, man.
Marcus and Larsa broke up.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah. Broke off the engagement.
Are they back together?
Unfortunately.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I have not heard that.
Maybe sometimes.
Trying to fix things, maybe?
What is the level? Like, what is a successful career? Because you're saying, like, they won 50 races. Like, what is to be considered, like, hey, that's a great racer, obviously not like a Dale Earnhardt, but like, what is the standard?
All right, so Marty and I both are NASCAR Hall of Fame voters. We just did this on Tuesday. We were in the room. And they put too many guys in the Hall of Fame early. Like, they had these 5 person classes run out of people. So now we're having to go through, right? They are. There's only so many damn guys, right?
Keselowski in?
Not yet. He's still driving.
What about KY?
Yeah, you have to retire and you got 5 years.
Jeez.
Right. So
that's where the NFL got it from.
Right. So like Carl Edwards this was his first year eligible and he got in.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're so excited.
I love Carl Edwards.
Yeah, he's
backflip
great.
off the car. You kidding me?
But he's like Barry Sanders. He walked away.
Yep,
he almost won a championship, just retired
from all the backflips.
Yeah,
his knees.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyhow, the point is, I've always said 20 wins is kind of the threshold of you were a great one, or you were pretty good. Mm-hmm. But it's really really hard to win one race. And so if you win 20, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into the 50 range, which is where Kevin Harvick and Jimmy, Jeff had almost 100 when he retired.
How many Kyle Busch got?
KY's got, what did he say, like
80s,
300 or something?
Yeah, he's got Kyle.
Total?
I don't know how many Cup wins he has.
What, is that your search phone?
Yeah. Sorry, I have 2 phones. You noticed that, right?
Yeah, I did notice that. Of course, I'm going to notice something
He's
like
got
that.
63.
Yeah.
I got 2.
I do have phones. This is the perfect. This is the work phone. This is the perfect phone.
Yeah, one for the plugs, one for the load.
Because,
Go team.
That's how that works.
One for NASCAR and one
I love
for
my wife. I don't
NASCAR.
need anybody reading what we text each other.
You guys drinking a little Diet Dew?
She's watching it. Yeah, stop.
Take it easy, McGee.
Hey, Mama McGee, how we doing?
Yeah,
Hope life is okay.
I don't need an IT guy going, hey, your wife's cool. Shut up, man.
Shut up. Hey, what's the shirt? Shirt's awesome. Go
You
team.
like that?
Yeah.
That's what I say all the time. So I wore that for you guys because we're on the same team.
Amen.
We're on the same team.
Not a lot of people. Did you play team sports growing up?
I ran track.
There we go.
I ran track, played baseball. Yeah,
So-
but I was a runner.
What were we running?
I ran the 800.
Damn.
And the 400, and I tried to walk on at the University of Tennessee. You were talking about walk-ons earlier. And we had a guy named Jose Perea, who was a great friend of mine, and he was trying to help me walk onto the team. He's like, you can do it, McGee, let's go. I ran the best 800 of my life, and he was running backwards and talking to me. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think this might not be for me. He like ran in 2 Olympics. I'm like, that's when I was like, you know what? It's the difference between
there's levels to this shit.
between them and us.
Yeah, but there's a reason why you write scripts, dude.
That's right.
There's a reason why you write scripts. That brain is a good one. Even though you sound like a big, dumb Southern hick.
That's it.
Which we love. We absolutely love
With
it.
my fake accent. Did you know Marty and I get accused of having fake accents all the time?
By who?
The internet.
No.
All the time, dude.
I don't think
The
so.
internet
Trolls
It's
are shit.
It's all the time. Like, it's like, there's no way y'all talk like that in real life. I'm like, you should hear these damn guys I went to high school with.
Yeah,
you wouldn't even.
North Carolina's got a good accent.
Yeah.
North Carolina's got a good Southern accent. Is it better than all the others?
Yes.
Because you got Mississippi's real.
Oh yeah.
Real down there, right?
And in Tennessee, when I went to school at Tennessee, they have the long eyes.
Savannah, Georgia.
Georgia's slow, right?
Yeah, Georgia's slow. My mother. So if you listen to Marty McGee on the radio, at the top of each hour, you hear this woman's voice go, when the rooster's crowing, it's time for Marty and McGee. That's my mother-in-law, who's from Savannah, Georgia. That's what she said, Marty and McGee. And but then I went to school in East Tennessee at Govals, and the first time I went on a date with a girlfriend, she's like, Ryan, I've had the nicest time tonight. And that's when I realized they have long eyes in East Tennessee.
Right. So you can tell where people are from by their Southern accent?
Because I moved to Connecticut. When I lived in the South, I thought everybody had the same accent. When I moved to Connecticut, I would be so excited to hear someone with a Southern accent because I was the only one that I figured out where people were from.
Oh, you're Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
I go, are you from Georgia? How you know that, man?
Super slow.
Yeah.
But even yours is different than Drake May's, and Drake May is from North Carolina. Like there's even little dialects.
Drake and I also grew up in different tax brackets.
A little different.
My dad refereed Drake's dad's games when Mark played quarterback at North Carolina. Now I'm really from Eastern North Carolina. We have a very kind of a soft, my grandmother says water. Would you like some water?
No, I want dill juice or whatever.
That's like water boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is Louisiana. Isn't that more Louisiana?
Yeah, that's Louisiana for sure.
And then Florida just said, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Well, it's because everybody that lives in Florida is not from Florida. They're all running from the law, and they're all from Pennsylvania. Right. It's
and
all
New York.
All people from Philly.
Boston.
All right.
That's why Hillbilly Headlines is like almost exclusively Floridians.
It's Florida man.
People on the run.
Florida man's the greatest search. Just Florida man. Just right on X anytime you want to. Just type in Florida man. And the Florida man, what's about to come, you have no idea how that happens in real life. And you even think to yourself, is this AI? This has to be a fake thing. Nope, it's Florida, baby.
That's right.
That is Florida. They're living down there.
Oh, yeah.
The whole next Grand Theft Auto is basically based off Florida man.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
McGee, as we wrap up this McGee Feel Good Friday, and we got a couple massive playoff games tonight. The NBA has the Mavs and the T-Wolves. Wolves are favored by 5.5 on TNT at 8:30, and then NHL is tonight on ESPN, 8 p.m. Panthers at Rangers. Rangers favored in that one at home. I'm excited to see, how this whole thing turns out. Is Florida about to go bully the New York Rangers in Madison Square Garden yet again? We shall see. And then obviously SmackDown live from Saudi Arabia.
Let's go.
That's right.
Tonight at 8.
That's crazy, man.
Crazy. They fly. None of these fuckers that are over there right now have any sense of what day it is. They have no clue. I'm getting texts from people going, like, somebody wanted to talk to me this morning, like 4:30 a.m. Like, hey, you got a minute? It's like, no. Okay, you guys are on the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
You guys are in.
They don't know.
They have no idea.
Yeah, they don't know.
The one guy is a Rangers fan, and he had no idea that the Rangers and Panthers even played the other day. He was like, "I'm gearing up for that one tonight or whatever." It's like, bud, they played yesterday.
You fucking kidding me?
They going, "You what? Are you serious?" Yeah, he was so.
You fucking serious?
He was so
Are you fucking kidding? Or are you serious?
What do you mean? I don't know what you're saying. Kent, McAfee, nothing ever comes out. You never know. It's like, no, bud, game's over. You guys lost 3-0.
What?
I'm not making this up.
Yeah, so they go in like a time capsule over there. It's like 16 years, but the way they get treated in like this WWE experience that they have over there, they've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on this museum over there, and like the setup, and then where they're staying in hotel-wise, they're like
living.
They are. It's forever to get there.
Yeah.
I guess like Saudi Arabia is obviously trying to modernize. I think we're all watching it. Now, granted, no country has made great decisions throughout its entire history. And obviously, I'm not making up for anything that's ever been done anywhere. But like for their people, I think like WWE has taken a large sense of pride of being like, hey, this is what is entertaining. Like this is possible, as they're like kind of catching up to it. So I've heard that obviously the trip is forever, but it's a cool experience whenever you get over there because you're living in a different world.
Yeah. Well, the Formula One people all say that. Like there's a huge chunk of the schedule now that's they beginning and end of the season now. They in the Middle East and it's Abu Dhabi and all. They said it's the craziest thing. You're just flying over sand, in the biggest damn city you've ever seen.
And cleanest.
Yeah, and
newest.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild.
You talking about growing up in Carolina as a wrestling. So
come on, baby.
Growing up in the Carolinas,
We were just in North Carolina last week. Great crowd.
Oh yeah, but growing up in the Carolinas in the 70s and 80s, and you'd always fly to Charlotte. And so if you were leaving on a Thursday, you get on the plane and literally, you talk about blowing my little damn mind. I get on a plane when I'm 10 years old, and Nikita Koloff, because this is Mid-Atlantic Crockett's, NWA. So I got Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA and Sting and Ric Flair, and they're all in first class, and they're all yucking it up. And I'm like, how the hell is this working? You guys were all beating the hell out of each other 2 days ago on TV.
I was at the show.
I was at the old Charlotte Coliseum. I saw you guys. How the hell y'all hanging out?
Oh, they were able to make up, obviously.
But then they'd see. Like, if they saw you, though. Like, I remember Dusty Rhodes saw my brother and I get on a plane. He just started, shut up, Rick. like all of a sudden wanted us to understand, they didn't really like each other. They loved each other.
No.
A lot of those guys still live around town.
No,
Nikita Koloff is a preacher now in the Russian Nightmare is now a preacher in Concord, North Carolina.
Okay. Amen.
Shout out.
Shout out to Nikita Koloff, really spreading the gospel and the good word. He was called the Russian Nightmare?
The Russian Nightmare.
And he was tight with Dusty?
Yeah, he was.
Who's the American Dream?
Yeah.
And now Cody's the American Nightmare?
They had the Crockett Cup was the greatest tag team wrestling match of all time in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, and Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare, were the superpowers. They got together for one fight only. It was amazing.
Well, a dream fights a nightmare.
They ended the Cold War. Between them and Rocky Balboa, they ended the Cold War.
No, making it to the moon was obviously what happened there.
Yeah, there you go. And that's his Uncle Ivan. That's Nikita on the left, and that's his Uncle Ivan Koloff. I got my picture taken on my birthday with Ivan Koloff. He was in a Walmart saving souls, handing out. I'm going to text you that picture when I get home. Literally. And he was so old, he couldn't hardly, his hands are all chopped up, but he signed it. I have a picture of me and Ivan Koloff in the Pineville, North Carolina Walmart on my birthday.
I love that.
2 weeks.
You know that feeling you had whenever he yeah, exactly. You know that feeling you had whenever he gave you that and you got that autograph?
Yeah.
Do you want to deliver that feeling to 25 people on this Feel Good Friday, McGee?
Yes.
You said you played baseball growing up. How's the arms?
It's all right. It's not bad.
Okay, can you throw a football into that net over there, you think, from the stage?
Like a regulation.
Like one of those
size
No, like a baby Duke.
Baby Duke, a little smaller. Into that net. That's a bad start. That's a bad start, McGee. No, from the stage. From the stage,
McGee.
McGee, good Lord.
That's lava over there,
restart.
brother.
Easy, McGee.
Let's restart this entire thing. You dropped the ball. You fell over the stairs. No, that's what I'm saying.
Now you do. No offense to the app, but they usually quit watching about 30 minutes ago.
40 minutes ago.
Whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, 40 minutes ago. Well, to end this beautiful day here,
okay.
Why don't we have you throw a football into that net right over there from the stage? And if you do, 25 people will win $500. McGee, you can make some dreams come true on this long extended Memorial Day
weekend.
McGee. And there's no warm-up. You just throw.
What? Okay. You want to restart? You want to restart? Any hole into that net right there. That ball ends up. If that baby Duke available now at the shop, it goes into any of those holes. Actually, an updated, newer version. It goes into that hole over there. 25 people win $500, McGee.
Come on, McGee.
It's been great having you. Go team.
Go team.
Do it for
Come
the
on,
team.
McGee.
Do
Go
it for the
team, McGee. Come on, McGee.
I won't leave you hanging. I was going to say after you make it, but.
AJ, you want to give him a fist bump?
Bump it up. Bump it up. Bump it up.
Nice job, baby.
Bump it up.
That's that Southern hospitality.
Bump it up.
On the run.
Get going.
That's Steve Young.
Lefty.
Unbelievable. In the bucket.
It's not. It's not.
That might have been the best throw we've ever had. On the run. Caleb Williams. Wow. Flick of the wrist.
Okay, 25 people, $500. All you do is repost this post, say something nice to somebody, and put the easiest way to pay you. What a beautiful way to wrap up this glorious week.
Hey, and if any of y'all 25 might be happening to orthopedist, let me know.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Thanks for sacrificing for all of us. Thank you for showing up here to Thunderdome and hanging out with us. Let's have an incredible weekend. Let's enjoy the hell out of this, and let's be nice to each other, huh? The world's filled with enough assholes. We might as well be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. We're in this thing together. We're off on Monday. We'll see you on Tuesday. Team on me. Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Team. Goodbye.